Elon Musk has now visited the border exactly as many times as Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, which is one. I think that's true. I don't know. I saw it on Twitter, so fact check that one. But Elon Musk is currently down at the border, and he just did 2 live streams from Eagle Pass in Texas showing illegal immigration. And he says he backs a border wall. So Elon Musk is coming out saying, build the wall, going down to the border. I think it's really interesting as to why he chose to do it. First and foremost, it's a big story. I do think he is testing the capabilities of live streaming on X, formerly Twitter. And so this is a big deal for him to go out and provide coverage of this will generate a ton of attention. Very, very good for the platform. So we'll definitely talk about all that. Oh boy. Cenk Uygur may be announcing a run for the presidency. And this is the host of the Young Turks. I say may because the official headlines are that he's announced staffing up for a 2024 run. Something to the effect of no one else will do it and we have no choice. Biden can't win. So apparently he's going to run, but we'll see. I don't think he actually declared he's running, and no one ever does because then there's a bunch of legal ramifications. And then the winner of last night's GOP debate was Donald Trump. For real, a poll was put out. They found Donald Trump won, even though he was not there. Vivek came in second place. And then Joe Biden has started using quotes from Ron DeSantis to attack Donald Trump. So bravo, GOP lesser known candidates who are not going to be president. All you're doing is helping Joe Biden. Congratulations. We're going to talk about all that. Before we do, head over to Timcast.com. Click Timcast IRL X Miami. Get your tickets now. We're going to be in Miami October 6th, Friday, 6 to 10:30 p.m. live. It is going to be a heck of a fun show. So I strongly advise all of you to pick up your tickets and head down to Miami. It's going to be a blast. We've got Patrick Bet-David, James O'Keefe, Matt Gates, Luke Rutkowski. I will be there. Ian will be there. A bunch of special guests. The Timcast crew, many people will be there. We're going to have Alex Stein doing a pre-show set on stage for all of you. A bunch of free swag sponsored by Public Square. We're huge fans. Download the Public Square app. Super awesome. And for those of you that would like to watch at home, click Join Us, become a member, because October 6th's Friday night episode is going to be uncensored and only available to members on timcast.com. Full transparency, there's 2 reasons we're doing it. 1, it's really expensive and difficult to do events like this, so we're hoping this can be kind of like a drive to build up more memberships and create something more substantial for our members. But it also allows us to kind of go completely off the rails. We're going to have people in the audience who knows what they'll be yelling up at stage, and I was like, someone asked, how do we control for that if someone yells something that's bad? And it's like, we can't. And it's like, let's do it members only, right? Consider it we're really hoping we get you guys to sign up to support our work. We're putting a ton of effort. This has been like a year in the works. It's very, very hard to pull off. Plus getting all these amazing guests to come. We really do need your support. So if you like the work we do and you like all the crazy cultural stuff we're doing, click join us. And we're going to have a members only show coming up for you tonight at 10 p.m. And you get to join the members only Discord and talk with like-minded people 24/7. They got pre-shows, they got after shows, they got hangouts. They're building culture. They're working on games. They're working on music. And you can be a part of this. And I hope you do because we're trying to build culture. So smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Joining us tonight to talk about this and a whole lot more is Dan Lyman.
Good to be with you, Tim. Thanks so much for having me.
Right on. Who are you? What do you do?
I run BorderHawk, which is an immigration-only news site, borderhawk.news, and I'm also a correspondent for InfoWars.
Right on. Well, thanks for hanging out. It should be a blast, especially with the Elon stuff. I think we'll have a lot to talk about.
Definitely.
We got Phil Labonte.
Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Labonte, lead singer of All That Remains, very failed musician, anti-communist, and counter-revolutionary. Libby.
Hi, everybody. I'm Libby Emmons. I am here. I'm here again, twice in 1 week. It's very exciting for me. So,
What do you do?
I am the editor-in-chief of the Post Millennial and HumanEvents.com.
Right on.
Yeah.
And I'm here. It's weird to hear you say failed musician like that. It's just funny to me.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's a good one. Anyways, yeah, I'm Serge.com. I'm ready when you are, Tim.
When's the 6th gold record coming? Is it going to be like...
Probably next year is when I'll actually get it.
Okay.
It takes time for the
Oh, no, but
RIA.
like when's it officially...
I'm
certified?
I'm not exactly sure, but I think it'll be done probably in another 6 weeks or so when I actually get the certification.
The 6th?
The 6th?
Yeah.
I don't want to predict a date.
Okay,
I'm waiting on the RIA.
But you did get the 5th is now there you go.
Yeah, so.
Failed musician. There it is, everybody. All right, let's jump into the news. We got this tweet from Elon Musk. I didn't call it a tweet. Call it a Twix. A post.
Twix.
Look at this. I love that this is the, look how silly this looks. This is ridiculous. Elon Musk went to Eagle Pass and started live streaming at the border during the immigration crisis. I'm glad he's doing it. I'm glad he's making this a major issue. Elon going there makes this bigger news for everyone. It's fantastic. But this picture is just so silly. Look at, he's got like the guy behind him all smiley and, whatever. It's funny. But he did 2 live streams. And this one you can actually see they're illegal immigrants that are behind this, I don't know, orange chicken wire of some sort. And then we have this from the Daily Mail. Elon Musk reveals he backs the border wall and says migrants must have a shred of evidence to claim for asylum, days after announcing visit to crisis-hit Eagle Pass. So, look, man, right now at Eagle Pass, people are just flowing in. There's CBP allowing them in, and then they're all being shipped up to various cities where we end up with mass protests. The scariest thing, I want to make sure everybody understands, because I'm seeing these leftists on Twitter be like, who cares? Okay, well, the people in Staten Island are the ones who are getting all of these people dumped in their neighborhoods, and now the police are beating and arresting the locals. So yeah, it matters. And Elon Musk parachuting in is good because it highlights the problem.
Yeah, and Elon's done a really good job lately of paying attention to this issue. Months ago, we were covering the fact that he was, doing his exclamation point tweet, response to people, which, it's not him saying anything. He's just calling attention to it with this massive magnifying glass that he has. And he's been indicating that more and more this is concerning him. And so the fact that he's going down there right now is so important. Because, of course, we see so many of our elected officials in high-powered, right up all the way through the presidency, they just can't even be bothered with the whole thing. And in the past month, Eagle Pass is averaging around 2,000 illegal crossings per day.
That's a lot.
And that's one location, right?
One location. It has been the hotspot pretty much for the entire Biden border crisis. But recently, it's gotten even worse. It was bad every day, all day. But recently we hit a day record, a single day record, which was about 2,200, and 2 days later it was 4,000. And so it's getting worse and worse.
I've heard that because of South America has the summer and our winter, that the springtime come March and April is going to be when it tends to bump up the most. And if we're getting 2,000 people a day or 3,000 people a day at one of the high volume border crossings, come March, it's going to be insane. Without some kind of change in policy.
Just in time for the election.
I mean, I don't want...
You think Biden would be doing everything in his power right now to put a stop to this because it's just in time for the election. I don't know. That's why I'm like, do they want to lose running Joe Biden and a border crisis? Because immigration is a huge issue. When you have people in New York City protesting AOC over immigration, y'all Democrats are in trouble.
Yeah, they're screaming at the buses. They're yelling at everybody, telling them to go home. New York City, actually, today I saw a flyer that they put out that's from the city of New York saying, go somewhere else. You're not going to be housed here. This is a very expensive city. You will be better off somewhere else. The city is doing that, Democrats.
And this comes, of course, only a couple of weeks after Eric Adams said they're destroying the city.
Which they are.
They are.
It's turning into a nightmare. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you're watching these liberals that have been, crowing about the city being a sanctuary city, and across the country they've been doing this. Well, they're getting a taste of their own medicine. I'll be perfectly honest. I wasn't a fan of the busing stunt that Texas launched last year. I thought it was basically just them participating in the redistribution of illegals. And we know for a fact that the amount that are in New York City, for instance, it's only about 10% were bused there by Texas. The other 90% are coming in of their own accord, being brought in by NGOs, being brought in by the Biden administration, maybe even flying in, we're learning now, straight to JFK. So it's only about 10%, but it's been quite effective, and it has really highlighted the hypocrisy.
The defense of the busing the people from the border to Texas was, well, he can't deport them anyway. And I'm just like, my attitude is kind of, look, man, if you have to choose between sending a bus to New York and just returning them to Mexico in violation of, I don't know, federal law or whatever, I'd go with like, hey man, they entered illegally. We're going to send them right back. And then let Mexico send a communication over how we deal with this. But if these people have already illegally entered Mexico or they are Mexican citizens, then I don't see what the argument is for some kind of, like, I don't even think it's a law. I think it's some kind of treaty or something, or like international relations must be held by the federal government. And so what happens is they come in and Texas is like, well, we can't do anything. The federal government won't let us. So they put them on a bus and they send them to New York. I like some of it, right? It created a shock to the system. It created press, but I think you're right. If they didn't do this at all, imagine if Texas, Florida, and whatever, Arizona, whichever other states were doing it, never did. Mm-hmm. They'd still have a migrant crisis in New York City. They'd still be saying the same things, only now they have a scapegoat. Now they can say it's Republicans that are doing it on purpose.
Right. That's interesting. And then you also had DeSantis sending people to Martha's Vineyard, which was sort of an amazing stunt, I thought.
Yeah, that was brilliant. That was good.
That was very clever.
Sending a small handful of people to a sanctuary city that has the means to support them, I think was better for the people. The migrants themselves got one of the best deals ever. You're going to Martha's Vineyard, baby.
Right?
I've never
That's
even
pretty
been there.
nice.
And then it made the people at The View and all these other liberals lose their minds in panic.
The more you can make people that have the luxury opinion of open borders, the more you can make them feel the repercussions from that, the better, right? Like, because it's real easy when you live in, the Northeast. I'm from New Hampshire, Massachusetts. It's easy to say, oh, you should let people in. Everyone should be able to come in, et cetera, because you don't feel the daily pressures that, that number of people constantly straining your infrastructure. They don't feel it. So if you can get them to partake in the actual
Suffering.
reality of
The actual
people coming
suffering
in.
of it.
Yeah. I mean, fair enough. I was trying to be a little more specific with my words, but yeah, essentially, if you can make them feel the pain, then that's a good thing, because until most people have luxury opinions that don't affect them, so they're like, well, it's okay for this because someone else will deal with it. It's very, very easy to say it's someone else's problem. It's really hard to say it's someone else's problem when you can't walk out of your door without stepping in human feces.
Right.
But
New York already had that problem.
San Francisco. I mean, my attitude is kind of at this point, everybody should be as self-sufficient as possible. They should be doing what they can to get out of cities to get more. I mean, look, it's just you're better off. We have a video that we'll talk about in the members only section tonight, where it's students fighting at high schools, a trans student fighting, beating up. But we'll save that. But my point is not to hash that story out before we get to it. These things are happening in your schools, in these districts where they've got this weird wokeness ideology. You need to get away from these places. You need to be self-sufficient, self-sustainable, because it's clear that the government does not have your back. Staten Island is the perfect example of social order breakdown. Philadelphia is the next best example. They bring in illegal immigrants into Staten Island when the locals say, hey, man, you can't do this. This is our neighborhood. The cops beat and arrest them. And then you get Philadelphia, where people run around, 100 people running around, teenagers, smashing up storefronts and stealing iPhones, iPads, fighting with cops, and only half of them get arrested. Social order breakdown is happening. Does it completely break down until it doesn't exist? I don't know, but ain't nobody coming to save you. Even if Trump gets arrested, you got to still deal with the on-the-ground stuff happening in front of your house. What did I say?
You said arrested.
Oh, no, elected.
He already got arrested.
Right, he already got arrested. If Donald Trump gets elected, it's going to, I believe there is a strong probability it gets things back on track, but it still means the swamp is all around you. You may hope that Trump pulls that plug and drains a lot of it, but it's going to be there for a while. You don't clean up this mess overnight. So that being said, the more I see this stuff, the more I'm hoping that people become self-sufficient and remove yourself from the ramifications of the horrible policy. So if you're not in New York City, you're going like, wow, that's too bad for the people who live there, who are voting for this. It does suck for the people who are there who don't want it. But at a certain point, I'm kind of thinking like, the only way this is resolved is getting resolved, or will be resolved, is because people in New York City are now experiencing the problem. When it was just a Texas problem, they said, who cares? You're crazy. Now that it's a New York problem, now you're going to get the whole country screaming about illegal immigration, finally.
And you had recently a video of Chicago residents, who most of them were presumably Democrats, berating the city council and saying, and in essentially paraphrasing what they said, but almost a direct quote, if you don't do something about this, we're going to do something about this, and you're not going to like what we do.
That's crazy. That's scary, man. We don't, none of that.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's a lot of Black Democrats in Chicago who are really fed up with this too.
Yep.
I thought that was really interesting too. For a minute, I kind of had this hope that perhaps there would be an abolition of color lines and we could all just be like, we're Americans. You guys are invaders. I'm sorry that your country is going to hell over there, but we don't want ours to have that happen to it.
I said this yesterday. I really need to say it again because look, for people who watch every show, you hear me say some things a couple times, maybe a lot, but not everybody watches every show. Imagine what it must be like, and I can only imagine. I'm not Black, right? But imagine you're a Democrat, Black or white. The narrative is Black people have been oppressed by this country and are owed for it. Reparations should be paid. Now imagine you are a Black voter, and many of you watching probably are, and you're being told over and over again how much you're owed because of what this country has done to you. Then they say, but don't worry, we're not going to give you money. Every 4 years, we'll dangle the carrot in front of your face. We're going to claim we owe you the money. Then we're going to open the border, bring in people who don't even live here, who've not experienced anything we've claimed you've experienced, and then we're going to give them money. It's at that point, my attitude is kind of like, if you don't give me money, I'm not going to cry about it. Just don't take my tax dollars. But if you dangle the money in front of me saying like, yeah, this is your money, we don't worry, we're going to get it to you. Oh, who's that guy? Here you go, buddy. And you toss him a chunk of cash. Now I'm pissed off.
Well, that was the thing too in New York is they were bringing in illegal immigrants, setting up a whole tent city type of things, giving them free Xboxes and stuff, moving homeless New Yorkers out of shelters. I mean, there were already plenty of homeless in New York. New Yorkers, families, people with jobs who can't afford to live there, but they have a job. Their families they're like trying to make it work. And these people, these New Yorkers were moved out of the shelters that were built for New Yorkers so that illegal immigrants could come in, all because of stupid Joe Biden. And the thing too about that is the situation in New York where it was a sanctuary city and also where there's a right to shelter law, which means that if someone shows up and asks for a place to sleep, the law is you have to give it to them. That only works if you're dealing with the homeless residents of your own city. It doesn't work when you're dealing with 100,000 people from wherever who also are not assimilated. They don't want to assimilate. And we have progressives saying you shouldn't assimilate. So there was a case today. Someone an illegal immigrant was arrested for allegedly raping a 7-year-old girl in an airport hotel.
God.
You have the Roosevelt Hotel. We had a reporter go out for Human Events, Jackie Toberoff, and she was saying that the hotel is essentially culturally divided. It's like Hispanics on one side and Africans on another.
Wow.
And there's fights on the corner.
Yep.
I mean, what a mess. When you had immigrants coming through Ellis Island, the idea was they were going to assimilate. Their kids were American. And
they could be adequately placed.
Yes.
So we know, hey, your new family's coming in. We have locations in this area where we can help you get set up. And that way people integrate into the society. When people come here illegally, they just go and they find out where their friends are and they create enclaves. I don't blame them for doing it. It's what humans do. But then you end up with what isolated mini societies, right? Like neighborhoods that don't view themselves as part of the greater city or state or whatever.
And then no-go zones, if that is allowed to proliferate even further. But, I had a lot of relatives that came in my family tree and that came through New York City. They immigrated there. And when they were coming through, you had to provide chest x-rays.
Right.
You had to provide a sponsor that was already in the States.
You had to have like $5 or something. You had to maybe I think you had to have some amount of cash.
Yep.
But you also couldn't have a job already lined up.
Right.
Because the deal was you couldn't be taking a job from an American already here.
Exactly.
And now you have AOC and Hakeem Jeffries and all of these people coming out being like, we have to make sure they can get jobs. People in New York need jobs. New Yorkers need jobs.
Jacques Fresco made a great point that I brought up earlier today. He was in an interview, the Zeitgeist stuff. If you guys are familiar with that documentary, he said when he was a kid during the Depression, he saw people in an unemployment line, and across the street was a factory with no workers, and he was like, "Why can't we get the workers in the unemployment line into the factory?" Well, he wasn't literally saying you could. He was saying like this is an issue of a failed economic state. The workers on the unemployment line couldn't necessarily do the job at the factory, so you have people who need work and a place that needs workers, and it can't make it work. But from understanding that principle, if you've got, let's just flat numbers, 100 jobs in your town, and you've got 110 people. Okay, you've got 10 people who need jobs. Some people die, some people move out. Now there's a few job openings. 50 illegal immigrants come in. No, let's say 10. Let's say just 10, right? 10%. They start taking up these jobs, and the left argues that the immigrants create demand and create jobs. Yes, but not immediately. So what happens is these jobs are going to be filled based on market competition. Some of these businesses are going to say, well, we're going to hire these guys. More importantly, AOC is saying they're going to get work permits for these non-citizens, which means if you're someone struggling to find work, AOC is going to make sure one of these guys takes the jobs that are available that you should be getting.
Exactly.
And then maybe in a year or two, the demand will increase enough to where more jobs will come into fruition. But nobody's creating a job at their business based off of a week, a month, or a couple months.
Exactly.
If revenue increases over, like let's say like 100 illegal immigrants come into my neighborhood and now I'm selling more cheeseburgers. Yes, at the end of the month, I'll calculate how much money I made, how many more burgers I got to buy, what my profits were, and then we'll carry on. Maybe after 6 months, I'll say, okay, demand is getting greater and greater. We're going to bring on some more employees, but it's not going to be right away.
Right. No, it's not going to be right away.
And how much when that happens, how much of what they're earning then gets sent back home? We have remittances never get talked about, and how much are they going to start taking out of the system because inevitably they find ways to leech the system. Whether it's through the schools or through welfare or food stamps, EBT programs, and then another example of just the madness in New York City and residents, American citizens being pushed to the back of the line. We had at the beginning of the school year, something like 19,000 illegal alien children entered the school system. And so kids were showing up to school at city schools, and American citizens were being turned away from school. And we're told very often that a lot of these kids, the only meals they're getting that day are at school. We're told that all the time.
They tell us that all the time.
Right.
And then you had Letitia James, the Attorney General in New York, who's trying to destroy Trump's life and his business and his entire family. She said that New York State was going to sue school districts that did not allow the children of illegal immigrants into the schools. Now, the thing in New York is New York City schools got shut down like March 13th, 2020. They were out that whole semester. They were out most of the entire next year. There were policies in place where if your kid got exposed to COVID, then they couldn't go to school for 2 weeks. And there was like some whole testing regimen, which we went through like a half a dozen times. My kid was never in school. It was a disaster. So you have all of these kids in New York, a lot of whom are poor already, a lot of whom have English as a second language, who are already behind. They're behind in maths, they're behind in science and reading and everything. Already behind. Now you're throwing in a bunch of kids who have made some like ridiculously difficult trek all through South America to get here, who are also behind. They haven't been in school and they also don't speak English. So what's going to happen to the citizens, the citizen children of New York? They're supposed to inherit this city. They're supposed to keep the lights on, keep it going all night as the story of New York goes. And they're not going to have a chance. And the state is going to make sure they don't have a chance. That's their goal.
And not to mention, on the school thing, the school officials admitted before the school year started that if you were basically a migrant child and you were entering the school system, you did not have to provide proof of immunization the way that Americans do.
For anything. And then there's tuberculosis at the border.
Right.
What's going on? Why are we so obsessed with destroying our own country and destroying our own kids' chance to succeed, and then telling immigrants you don't even have to be American. If the immigrants who are coming in do not decide to be American and take up our cultural values, which who even knows what they are at this point, then the nation is screwed. Look what's going on in France and Sweden and all of these places. Well, the Visigoths.
Well, here we go again.
I know.
Roman Empire. There is a solution, my friends. There is a solution for all of us.
Is there?
And that solution's name is Cenk Uygur. Ladies and gentlemen, Mediaite reports Cenk Uygur is so frustrated by Biden's lagging poll numbers that he's staffing up for a 2024 run. Yes, Cenk Uygur may be the man to save this nation.
Our savior.
If he runs and wins the nomination, he will defeat Donald Trump and be our president. Actually, he won't beat Trump. I doubt he'll win the nomination, but I'm going to say something that will shock and possibly offend many people. I would vote for Cenk Uygur if Donald Trump okay, hold on. On my list of candidates, if we have to vote for a Democrat, if your only option was like Mitt Romney, Joe Biden, or Cenk Uygur all the way. If the nomination in the Republican Party doesn't go to Trump, Ron DeSantis is like a begrudging for me. It's like, well, okay, DeSantis is perfectly acceptable. Vivek is better. But if somehow, for some reason, you got like a Mike Pence in the nomination, let's say they just arrest everybody, I'd vote for Cenk. And there's one reason. One,
he's a buffalo.
Well, I mean, call him whatever you want, but he's detrimental to the system to a certain degree that I'm willing to accept. I don't like his policies. I think his worldview is broken. I think he lies a lot. But anything to get rid of the uniparty corporate garbage. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then we'll figure it after the fact. I've said the left, they should vote for Donald Trump.
See, I I take issue with the anything to get rid of the corporate uniparty. I'm not that it's a comment of support, but those idiot
Commies?
The MAGA communist people, they want to get rid of the uniparty. They talk about, getting rid of BlackRock. And while those ideas are good, I do like the idea of having less corporate power affecting people's lives and affecting legislation and stuff. If your option is, technocratic fascist authoritarianism, which is what a communist state would be, I still would rather have the status quo than communists with a chip in my brain.
But I don't think Cenk Uygur brings that about.
I mean, it may not, but he doesn't do anything to hinder it. He doesn't stop it, and he doesn't slow it down.
I'm
looking for off ramps, Tim.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, if it was Mike Pence and Joe Biden, and then there's an option for Cenk Uygur with like a reasonable shot to win, I'd probably be close to like not voting at all.
Fair enough.
However, I think there is something with Cenk that is substantially better than the uniparty, neo-lib, neocon, warmongering, eat the bugs, World Economic Forum garbage, all that stuff. The question is Cenk Uygur in line with these World Economic Forum views, climate change, etc.? That being the case, that's where you run into, okay, this is why we can't vote for this guy. He's too much in line with these negatives.
Yeah, anyone that believes in the predictions of the climate change alarmists, they're whether they intend it or not, they would fall into the group of people that would end up destroying the world to
They were occupying Kevin McCarthy's office today.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, those people would destroy humanity to save the world. That's what they would say they would do.
My view is like the left hates Donald Trump.
Yep.
And they say all these things about him. A lot of these things are wrong. But Trump shatters the uniparty. He freaks them out. He sows discord within this machine that the left also hates. So my attitude is like, if you've got Trump or Biden, the left should be voting for Donald Trump because Trump destabilizes the corporate uniparty. And you're not getting somebody you want, but you are causing damage to the empire, to the cathedral.
Yep.
So that's why I like Trump. Trump happens to align more so with my views. I've agreed with a lot of decisions he's taken. I think he's got his faults. Cenk Uygur doesn't, but as much as I don't like his views, I think in not the same way, I think Trump is better. Cenk is an outsider smashing into the corporate uniparty. He tries to be involved. They hate his guts. They smeared him. They made up lies about him. And then he got mad. Now he's trying to run. I'm not saying it's a perfect scenario. I'm just saying, look, man, maybe I made the mistake with AOC. That's for sure. I said she's better than the uniparty establishment people. I think that's probably the case in some ways. And it's hard to know because Crowley, who she defeated back in, 2018, we've not seen what he would have done with COVID and everything else. I think AOC's awful, but I still kind of believe she's probably better than Crowley would have been because Crowley is uniparty, corporate lib, march in lockstep. At the very least, AOC teams up with Matt Gaetz to stop insider trading in Congress.
And she's also easy to make a fool of.
Well, there you go, I guess. Like I'm looking for wins. I'm more reformer than revolutionary. I'm trying to say, I hope we don't have civil war. I hope we don't fall into mass conflict. But look, man, you've got angry people in this country. It's not going to be solved by whatever the corporate uniparty is doing. That being said, Cenk is not going to be president. He's not going to be the nominee. And it's not a real circumstance where anyone would vote for him.
But if he was elected, we'd have really angry horses. We can count on that for sure.
No, you'd have very happy horses.
Happy, okay.
Happy horses.
Very, very happy.
Yeah, he'll never live that one down, dude. No. So check this out. Do you guys remember this? And look, I try to give Cenk as much credit as I can. And for the folks that don't know who he is, I assume everybody did. That's why he's the host and founder of the Young Turks, very popular, prominent, progressive news and commentary on social media. Used to be on MSNBC, so he's a prominent guy. He's got millions of followers.
Not popular with Armenians.
No, certainly not. Certainly not. And he doesn't want to drop that name, the Young Turks, which basically is akin to saying the Hitler Youth. But
yeah, we
have this from CNN. They say Sanders retracts endorsement of controversial congressional candidate. This is crazy. Bernie Sanders withdrew his endorsement of Cenk Uygur after pushback from supporters over Uygur's previous controversial comments, as well as his decision not to accept endorsements. So even Bernie was like, "Yeah, we're not going to endorse this guy." Cenk's got this video that he's not going to live down, and it's a silly video, but we have to bring it up because it matters. It's from 10 years ago, I think, where he talks about how if he was the benevolent dictator of the world, he would legalize giving pleasure to animals. Abruptly.
That's just so weird.
Abruptly, and for no reason he says it, his crew starts laughing and he's like, well, how did we get here? Look, my point is, and it's like, maybe this guy shouldn't be president.
Maybe.
Maybe. Right. So I guess I'll say this. When it comes to a Cenk Uygur type as president, my more to the point is, I'm not making a substantive claim over who he is and what he would do. It's more so the idea of any outsider is better than the corporate establishment garbage. Upon closer inspection, I gotta say, man, like, I don't know how you escape having said something like that.
Well, my question immediately is, after he said something like that, my question is, what's putting this in your, is this something that you are doing in your spare time? Are you pleasuring your
Check
animals?
this man's hard drive.
What is going on? Or even
Makes
not
you
the,
wonder.
like there was that guy that was he like a UPenn professor or something, or Penn State?
And
Penn
he
State
like went out in the woods
professor?
with his dog.
He was going out in the woods with his dog and then engaging in lovemaking with his dog.
And then someone there was a trail camera.
Filming it. He was filming it himself. And there
Was he? No, I thought there was a trail camera that filmed him.
I
Yeah,
thought
like-
that
And then
was
someone-
it, and
yeah,
it was
and then-
over a period of years.
There was a trail camera installed that caught him.
Yeah.
But I
Caught him
look,
doing
I
it
don't
to his
care.
dog.
It's messed up stuff. Don't do it. Right?
It is,
That's
dude.
really disgusting.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, man. I don't see Cenk Uygur being president because the moment he runs, that is the only thing Republicans will run, and it will be massively damaging to Democrats across the board.
Yeah.
I'll say right now, the fact that Cenk Uygur says he has to run against Biden because Biden will lose and he's got the best chance, or he's no one else will do it. I think you're already going to see attack ads where they play this video of Cenk Uygur advocating abruptly and without prompt
Yeah, no problem.
for giving pleasure to horses.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm sorry, man. I don't like bringing this stuff
Just
up because
too
it's like
much.
it doesn't get to the substance of a progressive argument.
No.
But in
But he
terms
did-
of politics, he's going to be asked on a debate stage, Mr. Uygur, you've previously stated that you want to legalize the act of giving animals sexual gratification. Where do you stand on this now? And he's never going to live that down.
No, and nor should he really. I mean, he did say that on camera live for no apparent reason.
No one asked him.
Other than it was in
It's
his
weird.
mind. And if it was in his mind at that moment, I mean,
you
when you
wonder.
think weird things, like a lot of times you don't say the weird things you think unless you keep thinking them.
I think the
They've
worst-
been normalized in your own head.
The worst thing I've said without prompt is that I would consider voting for Cenk Uygur.
I was pretty weird. Yeah. I don't know if you're going to live that down. I think we should.
Well, no, but I can clarify. My point is basically I despise the corporate warmongering establishment so much that I'll tell you one thing. I believe Cenk Uygur would save Julian Assange.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
things there's
Okay, there you go. Thank you very much.
It-
That's
That's
good. That's
reasonable.
Santa.
thank you. I appreciate
but that's basically like what I mean, sort of. I don't think he would be good for this country. I don't think his policies make sense. I think he is woefully ignorant on many, many issues. And the animals thing's really gross. I'm just saying, it says a lot to everybody listening, considering what he said, that I think he would still probably be a better option than, say, like Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, or Mitt Romney. Because I think these people are like the apex of evil.
Well, Mitt
None of-
Romney is a disaster.
Cenk Uygur would not give us World War III, I don't think.
None of the people that you listed are going to have a different outlook than Cenk on climate change.
That's
you know?
and that's
so-
true. But I don't think Cenk Uygur goes to war.
Yep.
And I think he pardons Julian Assange. I think there's a lot of there's certain overlapping victories we get. I think he would push for things like no insider trading in Congress. And if you don't trust the guy, if only because his base wants these things. It's important to point out, like, I really do think the pardoning and restoring of Julian Assange is extremely, extremely important, because what people need to understand, and Julian needs to be in the news more. He's not in the news enough, but it's hard because it's like you can only say the story so many times. The U.S. government took it upon itself to arrest and detain a non-citizen for the act of journalism and then basically lock him up for going on, more than a decade. We can't allow a standard like that to exist.
Right.
Yep.
So there's a lot that I'd be willing to accept if it like gave us certain ground, but I gotta say, man, if you haven't seen the video of Cenk talking about horses, I'm sorry, dude, but you're never living that one down. It's just like he says, if I was the benevolent dictator, I would
you're never
legalize.
leaving it down.
And it's just like,
Name means name, man.
it's just weird that I'm imagining this guy getting elected and he's sitting down in the Oval Office and then he's like, and then his advisor's like, what's your first order of business, sir? And he's like signing an executive order that you can, I'll keep it family friendly, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
Crazy part is that he's
leave your animals very excited.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Why are you?
It's crazy. So
It's an act of Congress, by the way. Yeah. Well, and he ran for Congress too, and I'm kind of worried about what he's gonna propose. And it's just, I don't know, whatever. You get the point. Congratulations, he'll run. We'll see what happens.
The Assange thing is like what Russia is doing with that Wall Street Journal journalist who's still locked up.
But he was in their country.
Yeah.
The U.S. used an international network to apprehend Julian Assange on false rape charges.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even say rape. They weren't even rape charges. No. It was a
false assault.
No, it was like a lesser sexual assault charge based on like a ripped condom or something. Mm. And the women apparently said, "Why is he being arrested? This is not what we asked for." The women were trying to get it like an STD test or something. It was like a consensual encounter where the woman got concerned about her health and wanted him to get tested and asked the police, could he be compelled? And then they immediately ran and arrested him. Mm-hmm. He was in the UK. He then says this is a trick. And it was a trick because they dropped the case and said there was never a case in the first place. But then the US said, do not release him. And they kept him. Yep. And then they raided and arrested him. So, anybody who's going to start fixing some of that stuff, that's creepy, horrible, evil stuff. And I guess you take the horse guy over Joe Biden. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you think honestly that let's say it was Trump or RFK that actually wanted to do it? They really wanted to release and in a way rescue Julian Assange.
Trump wouldn't do it.
Okay. Let's say RFK ordered it. Well, we saw what happened when Trump ordered a troop withdrawal from Syria, and they just said no. Do you think that they really, like the deep state, the swamp would allow it?
Yes.
They would.
Yeah, there's a big difference between withdrawing our troops from Syria and letting a guy to jail. Mm-hmm. What they did with Trump and the Syrian troops is they lied and said that was done. And how do you check? You know what I mean? You get the paperwork and since it's done, you're like, okay, good. With Julian Assange, you're going to be like, okay, bring him to my office. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be like, well, he went to Kentucky. And it's like, well, then go get him.
Yeah, go get him.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot harder. But man, yeah, I do hope that if Donald Trump gets elected, Ross Ulbricht, Julian Assange, and Edward Snowden are pardoned or receive commutations. And there's probably a whole bunch more people who are deserving as well. Edward Snowden, I'm not the biggest fan of, but I do think it's time he comes home and just lives a normal life. I don't think he should go rot in jail for what he did. But there's a huge difference between Assange and Snowden.
Shane can't run. He was born in Istanbul.
Yeah. What?
He was born in Istanbul, Turkey.
Oh.
Immigrated with his family when he was 8.
He wasn't born to like military parents or something?
No, it says immigrated. No. Huh. So then he can't. I don't know what this is.
Then what is this fake news?
I have no idea.
That is fake news.
Someone pointed that out on Twitter. Thank you very much. Who is it? It's that.
Yeah, look at this. Like he sat down and did an interview where he talked about he might have to do it because no one else will. So what?
You can't, man.
So this is just him lying?
That's like the people who are saying
I got a book
Musk
coming out.
should,
it's just a play for the book.
Wow,
and
man.
Elon Musk can't be president
I'm sorry,
either.
dude. These people are evil.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Unless he's going to come out and be like, no, actually his mom's American or something.
But even if your mom's American,
even if you're born out of the country.
Yeah, there's rules about that.
Yeah, I don't think you can be even French American.
Although wasn't John McCain born in Panama, but he was born
he was born on a base.
That's
U.S. territory.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah. He was born on who was?
John McCain.
Right. But he's American.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, like your parents are American. You're American.
Yeah.
Vivek was talking about 14th Amendment stuff. He's completely right. Where do you stand on that on the birthright citizenship stuff?
It needs to be ended immediately.
It's fake. It's like a fake interpretation. It's not what anyone meant when they drafted the birthright citizenship.
Right.
The idea that Chinese nationals will artificially inseminate, will get a surrogate mother in California. Who then gives birth to a Chinese child, Chinese nationals, that has American citizenship. It's like, okay, come on, man. We are being exploited here.
Yeah, we are definitely being exploited. There's very few countries that have birthright citizenship. I think Brazil is one. Most European countries do not have that, including France, which of course is leading to some big problems there that they have. But the U.S. is one of the only ones in the country. I think there's like 4 or 5.
I think that I didn't know about the argument against the argument against birthright citizenships the way that Vivek laid it out until last night. I wasn't aware. Like I just
really?
had never heard that argument before. I'd heard people talk about the 14th Amendment. I'd never heard anyone explain it, and I never went and did the research myself to figure out exactly the details and stuff. And to be honest with you, it is compelling. If you are here illegally, then and you're born to parents that are here illegally, then you're not subject to all the laws of the United States. You're not supposed to be able to get a job.
Right.
You're not supposed to be paying taxes. You're illegal.
Well, that's what that whole DACA thing is about.
So to me, it's compelling, and I
there
think it's a
also
good
is
argument.
like that's sort of why if you're deporting entire families, that's one thing. But if you are allowing illegal immigrants to stay and then they go all the way through high school and discover that they have absolutely no status, that's really bad.
Yeah.
That's really dangerous, and we're not doing anything to rebuild or to help stabilize the countries that are sending people, which I don't think we have much of an obligation to do outside of the Americas even at all. But in the Americas, you had Kamala Harris, who was supposed to be the border czar. And then she was like, no, I'm not the border czar. I'm actually just dealing with these Northern Triangle countries. And then they started sending all of these messages like, don't come now. We're going to help you. We're going to bring in American corporations to create jobs and all that stuff. And they didn't do any of that. They just didn't do it. She shirked her responsibility at the border. She shirked her responsibility with regard to the thing that her staff said was her job. And nothing's going on there. So you also have the people who are the most entrepreneurial leaving those countries and coming here, which is going to further destabilize those nations.
The people that are leaving their home country are probably the ones that should be staying there,
should be sticking around,
because they're likely the ones that are most capable to help fix their own countries.
Right.
Again, if you look at the people coming across the border in the South, it's not mostly families. It's mostly young men. And to be honest with you, if I understand correctly, the people that are coming from South America, it's not like 95% people from South America. There are people coming from all over the world.
There's a lot of Africa and stuff.
I've heard stories of Chinese. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and
that means it's a security issue. China is unquestionably our biggest rival in the world, right? That's the biggest geopolitical rival we have is China. If there are Chinese nationals coming in, you don't know if they're actually trying to escape China or if they're coming here as for industrial espionage or whatever. But there is industrial espionage going on that the government has a responsibility to protect American companies from. And if they're abdicating their responsibility, and they have for the better part of the past decade, at least, probably longer. So
we had Michael Yon on recently on InfoWars on the Alex Jones show, and he is one of the best reporters, period, especially on conflict.
I saw some of his, I think, Darien Gap stuff.
Yes, he spent a lot of time at the Darien Gap, and the Darien is, of course, where so many are coming through on their way to the U.S., and that gets no coverage from the U.S. media at all. But he's very familiar with the situation down there, and he brought Chinese interpreters down with him that spoke multiple Chinese dialects, and he said that it was his opinion, based on the people that they talked to, that a lot of the Chinese coming through were military or were connected with the Chinese government, just based on the way that they communicated, the way that they were dressed, the way that they were behaving in many ways. And so his opinion was that many coming through that are Chinese are military coming into the U.S.
That's not good. Wow. That's not a good situation at all. I was seeing some reporting from, I think, Real America's Voice the other day, and they were down somewhere. I don't remember where it was because I'm not super familiar with that geography, but they counted I think 100 boats coming through that pass going north in just an hour. It was like these long, skinny boats, and they would yell out, "Where are you from? Where are you from?" And it was a lot of Africa. It was a lot of Venezuela, and we kind of helped destroy Venezuela. You know what I mean? And now we're going to try and do the same thing to Brazil.
Yeah.
The vast majority that have been coming through Eagle Pass are coming from Venezuela.
Well, Venezuela destroyed itself.
Yeah, I was going to say Maduro and Chavez had a lot to do with.
Well, sure.
Yeah, we had our reporter. We have a correspondent that works at the border on the Mexican side. He lives in Mexico, and a few days before Eagle Pass really popped off, his report that he dropped was that hundreds were arriving on top of the trains as we now know.
The beast.
And that's been going on for a long time, but this was a new surge, a new rush. And he said the vast majority of them, his estimate was 90%, were Venezuelans. Many of them are families coming with children now, and they're riding on top of these trains and arriving by the thousands now and pouring into Eagle Pass and, of course, other crossings as well.
I've always opposed colonization. These colonials, we can't have that. You know what I mean? Coming here and settling on lands where you're not welcome. That's colonization.
Bringing their blankets with tuberculosis on them.
Oh, man. Let's jump to the story from the Post-Millennial.
3 cases, I think it was now.
Well,
we have this.
It's been more than that over the...
We got this story from the Post-Millennial. Biden thanks DeSantis for saying Trump is to blame for inflation. DeSantis gains little from bashing the frontrunner for the Republican nomination. Biden gains everything. So we saw this last night. It's an article by Libby Emmons.
That's right. I had fun writing
Why
this
don't
one.
you talk?
I had fun writing this one. I said it all in the article. Yeah, so Jack Sobek and I were talking about this morning because he put out this tweet, and he was the one who showed me that Biden sharing this clip of DeSantis last night at the debate. Biden using basically what DeSantis said as a campaign ad. So you have DeSantis go out there. He's bashing Trump. Trump should be here on the stage. Basically just insulted that Trump isn't there to take him seriously.
And blamed Republicans for the inflation.
Blamed
which is
Republicans
not
for inflation.
Correct.
Blamed Trump for inflation. Said that Trump adding $7.8 trillion to the national debt while he was in office is what leads to inflation now. Well, when Trump left office, inflation was at 1.4%. By December 2022, it was, I think, at 6.5. Right now, it's at like 3.67. So Biden is saying, oh, it's better than it was. But it's only better than it was after he jacked it up ridiculously. And it's still twice as high as it was when Trump was in office. And the national debt, like adding, if you scroll down, you could see the numbers of the national debt. Like there's large numbers. Trump brought the national debt up to like 32 trillion something, up from 32 trillion something. Now it's over 33 trillion. So, and it's also hard to get these numbers. Like I was digging around trying to find the national debt numbers, and it's like just these continuous clicking clocks of money just getting spent constantly.
Well, wait, this math doesn't add up. Trump,
does it not add up?
No, it doesn't. Trump added 7.8 trillion, bringing the national debt to 32.5 trillion from 32.5 trillion.
32.534.
Yeah, those are billions.
4, those are billions.
Yeah, so the trillion.
That's my screw up. I apologize.
But
the numbers are so large that it's hard to
I also failed at helping my
But I would like to say,
evening.
first and foremost, Donald Trump has some responsibility for inflation. That's a fact. However, when it came to this spending, it was not just Donald Trump who did it. It was all of Congress. It was governors, and basically everybody but a small handful of people like Thomas Massie were in favor of this massive spending because of the COVID crisis. That being said, if you there was an economic chart we put up a long time ago. I know it's been a while. You can find it. The moment Joe Biden starts signing executive orders, we see a massive explosion in inflation and a decrease in wages. And so this is you can look at the charts tracking inflation. Biden gets elected, it's fine. Biden signs a bunch of executive orders, it starts skyrocketing. Whatever it is he was reversing and changed had a bigger impact on just the debt. Ron DeSantis, it was a gaffe to come out and accuse Donald Trump of simply because of the debt, it's his fault. He's so desperate to throw tomatoes at Trump that he's fueling Joe Biden's talking points. Don't do it, man. It's not even that strong of a talking point.
Yes, that's correct.
Well, there you go.
But also,
make it
this
easy
is,
for Biden.
this is going to be a Biden campaign ad, and, it's going to come out of the White House, and it's going to be on the debate stage when Biden and Trump face off again. Yeah, and also, the amount of the national debt that Biden is spending is more than Trump and I think Obama combined, as well as his number of executive orders is more than Trump. So it is pretty shocking that this is what they're doing. And they're doing it because they can't stand that they don't have a shot against this man.
Well, the money supply is decreasing tremendously and rapidly. Y'all are going to be in for a wild ride, man, if you look at this one. Let me see. Can I make this more visible? This is the M1 money stock. This is the billions of dollars in circulation. And you can see around COVID,
it went up a lot.
Well, this is because they turned savings accounts into checking accounts. Yeah. Which is insane. And then after that, it just keeps going up and up and then it
gonna
starts
fall.
dropping
Yeah,
precipitously.
Not a good thing to just turn.
No,
around like that.
yeah, none of this is
very, very
good.
bad.
Skyrocketing up and then starting to drop
Yeah.
off.
It's almost the worst thing you could do in this situation.
Instability is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks, Joe Biden.
You know, I don't do much
Thanks, Joe.
shopping at brick and mortars besides the grocery store, but when I visit my grandmother, she likes to go out and take me to buy a shirt or something like that. And we went to, she lives in Miami, we went to a Ross the other day, and we walked in, and the line was 50 people deep
Whoa.
on the middle of a weekday.
At a
Well, because there's
Ross?
no one
At a
there.
Ross?
There's no one working.
No one working. That's definitely fair. But the amount of people that were there purchasing and were intent on purchasing because they didn't mind waiting in line was insane. So we went next door to TJ Maxx instead. The line was even longer. Yeah. And so we said, not even going to deal with it. We'll go to the mall tomorrow. And so we did. And the mall was just packed with people buying stuff. And she said, and she's very intuitive about this stuff. She said, everybody's using credit cards. I said, absolutely.
Yep.
And people are shopping like drunken sailors, even though there's just no way that they're, funding this in a manner that is sustainable for them or for the economy. I mean, it's what American credit card debt just passed $1 trillion for the first time like last month, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really bad.
I don't see how Biden wins. The economy is in a weird place. Like the numbers are all over the
Weird?
place. Yeah, weird.
Yeah.
Because you've got some metrics that seemingly are good, giving the press an open door to be like, look how great the economy is. Meanwhile, regular people can't buy groceries. And so you're getting conflicting messages. You get one person saying, no, these numbers are good. These are bad. I'm not a finance guy. It's in a weird place. People are struggling and living paycheck to paycheck, and credit card debt is through the roof. Student loans are probably going to implode soon. Joe Biden can't think straight. Democrats don't like him. How does this guy run? He's got to drop out.
I don't
Well,
think
that's what Newsom is here for.
Yeah,
Well, should I go on and predict it now or what?
I don't think that the average person. Again, I talked about luxury beliefs earlier today. I think that the average person is detached from the problems. If they're not directly affecting them, I don't think that they believe that the problems are real for other people. And I think that if that people tend to put their head in the sand and try to hide from the problems as much as they can. People don't want to hear, oh, this is bad. People don't want to hear, oh, that's bad. And I really think that people will say, well, if we just vote for the people that say they're going to make it nice and we don't vote for the bad people, then it'll be okay. The average American that doesn't pay close attention to, alternative news or anything, that pays attention to regular news, they truly believe, and they're fed the same propaganda all the time, that the quote unquote deplorables are actually a major threat to the United States, that the deplorables and Donald Trump or Republicans, because it doesn't matter that it's Trump. Like as much as people will glob onto Trump and say he's the guy, it doesn't matter that it's Trump. It's someone that has an agenda that is opposed to the establishment. So if it were Vivek to get into the position of running, they would slime Vivek in the exact same way that they've slimed Donald Trump. It probably wouldn't stick as well because Vivek is a different guy, but still they would use all of the same.
Well, they've been doing that with DeSantis, right? Like as soon as DeSantis says anything, they're like, oh, he's a white supremacist.
There are Nazis in Florida.
Yeah.
And so that's DeSantis' fault. Yes.
Yeah. And meanwhile, a bunch of those guys came down from Maine, from what I understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are going to smear DeSantis. And so what that ended up doing was it took that whole DeSantis is more electable argument and it sort of showed that to be false, because whoever is put out on the GOP stage is going to be painted with the broad brush of, anti-Semitism, homophobia, transphobia, and white supremacy and privilege. And
the average person that wants the drama to stop doesn't realize that the drama is created by the left for a reason. There were tons of people that say, oh, it was Donald Trump or whatever, but it's dialectics. It is a dialectical movement created by the left. The left creates the problem, then they offer the solution that moves the society in the direction that they want. Liberalism doesn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting too, because I was watching the Bill O'Reilly Tucker Carlson interview on X, and I was telling you guys about it before the show. It was really fascinating to watch because these are two guys who have been doing news from a conservative network for years, both of whom lost their jobs at that network because they, we don't know why Bill Riley lost his job, but because they seem to have gone too far or whatever, and have ended up migrating to independent media. So they were talking about independent media, which was fascinating because, here we are, we do independent media. But they were also talking about how we are in an age of like discord.
Yeah.
How we're in an age where things are getting all screwed up. And that you have the progressive left is in bed with the press. So the press is pushing all of this stuff, and regular Americans who don't tend to, believe that they're being lied to necessarily, are looking at this and saying like, oh, I'm going to believe the New York Times and the Washington Post and NPR, just like an NBC and CBS, just like I always did. And suddenly these things are actually not telling you the truth. I was on a BBC radio show the other day, and we were talking about free speech and freedom of the press. And it was like, as regards Russell Brand, because they're super obsessed with Russell Brand in the UK, and I'm just super obsessed with free speech. And so we were talking about it, and they were like, it's so important. We were talking about how that group of MPs, who they were very clear to tell me was not the British government. I was like, it's a group of MPs.
Yeah.
Like, they're MPs. They're in your parliament, right? Like, if they're in your parliament, that's the government. Like, that is the government. Like, it doesn't have to be Rishi Sunak necessarily, like, going out there and doing it. So we were talking about the letter that got written to streaming platforms to say, hey, are you going to demonetize Russell Brand just like YouTube did? And they were saying, oh, their argument is that they weren't telling them to demonetize. And it's like, oh, sure. Honey, would you like to wipe the chocolate off of your face, or do you want to just leave it there? It's like, oh, Mom, I'm going to wipe it off my face, Yeah. So it's very clear that I think they were telling them to demonetize Russell Brand and to start violating free speech norms. But what the other journalists were telling me, these British journalists, were that someone needs to be in charge. Someone needs to determine what's misinformation. And I was like, who should be in charge? You guys? Should you guys be in charge? Because as soon as like someone who disagrees with you is in charge, they're going to start saying that everything you believe is true is fake. So you're not, first of all, you're not thinking long term here. Second of all, it's just this incessant belief in the expert class.
Yep.
Of people who went to the right schools, and the right schools have beclowned themselves and don't even have, are not even worth the degrees that they're giving out anymore. So I think there really is, there really needs to be sort of a cultural awakening, and people need to realize that the press is in bed with the progressive left. They're telling you what they want you to think so that they can continue to destroy society and try and remake it in some different way.
I'm going to mention it again. The Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012 made it legal for the federal government, the United States federal government, to produce propaganda for dissemination in the United States. That happened at the same time that the smartphone reached market saturation. Yeah. So everybody had the internet in their pocket. The most powerful mind control device ever devised was built into your smartphone. The like button will make people behave in crazy ways. Everybody that listens to the mainstream media, the corporate media, and gets their news from it, you are all being propagandized.
Let's jump to the economic stuff, because we got this story out of the Daily Mail. Fool's gold. Expert questions whether Costco's $1,945 1-ounce gold bars are really a good deal, as shoppers rush to snap them up amid rampant inflation and bank failures.
I'm a gold bug, so I say yes. But.
So Costco started selling gold bars. Customers can buy 2 per shopping session, or whatever you'd call it. And they sold out. And what I heard was people are buying them because they're getting cash back on their credit cards. And that 2%, that's money. You then sell it at a smaller loss or something. Like you can sell it for a 1% loss, but you make 2% off the credit cards. That's what people are doing. But a lot of people are just flat out saying they want gold right now because the economy is going to implode. So I don't, whatever the reason may be, when you hear that there's a run on gold among regular people,
that's scary.
I'm kind of worried about that.
It's worth mentioning.
Now, I gotta say, I have silver, I have gold, I have crypto. I am not worried in the sense that I will be done harm because I already bought gold. I'm going to be worried about what the other people are going to do when they can't get any. Yeah,
that's scary.
You know what I mean? Like you can't get it. They're running out.
There are other things for that.
Well, I'm not. Depending on the degree of conflict this country faces, depending on how bad things get, people misunderstand what the value of gold is. The value of gold is a hard asset that is not being replicated. It's hard to produce, so it retains its value. However, gold's been floating around the same price for quite a while. It's just like, if you're living in the United States, it's good to have gold. It's good to hedge your bets against the US dollar, all that stuff, because gold is worth something, right? But in the event of like a total social breakdown, I'm sorry. Like, what are you going to do with gold?
That was what I was thinking too.
You're going to bring your 1 ounce gold bar for $2,000 to a burger shop and be like, can you make change?
Meanwhile, nobody's going to be at the burger shop. No one will be working at the burger shop.
No, I mean, I think there will be. Just because social order breaks down doesn't mean there's not going to be business.
So there was a blackout in New York City in 2003, and it was one of the substations sort of blew up, and we could all see like the smoke coming up, and the all the lights went out downtown, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, it's 9/11," except it's 2003 now, and we were walking around. I had my paycheck because we all got evacuated from our building because there was no lights on. And I just very quietly took my paycheck out of the drawer, which eventually I got fired. But because I took my pay and I didn't give anybody else their pay. I was just like, I'm not leaving. Payday's tomorrow. Yeah. I have all the checks. I'm just taking mine.
Oh, wow.
Anyway.
But so what? You couldn't get McDonald's?
What? No, it wasn't that I couldn't get McDonald's. It was that I had trouble cashing my check.
Oh, of course.
So I went to a check cashing place and there was a guy in the dark with candles and a shotgun and he cashed my check.
Nice.
Right. And people need to understand, you look at videos out of Syria during the Civil War, and there are people walking to and from work carrying food and groceries. People don't stop living because conflict happens. However, you're not going to carry a gold bar into a McDonald's and be like, yeah, I'll take a number one, supersize the fries, and give me a bunch of sweet and sour sauce, and here's one $2,000 gold bar. Can you break that for me? They're going to be like, no.
Yeah.
They might be taking gold. That's true.
Silver coins.
So if you, I'm not going to tell anybody what to buy, but what I would buy, they have websites where you can buy American silver coins, like actual dimes, nickels, quarters, and bags of them, and they actually represent the silver value of them. So if you're trading with something, but I got to be honest, man, when we started trading gold and silver, it was because it was hard enough to get, but easy enough to get. Silver, like aluminum, was worth more than silver. It was just like, is it real silver? Okay, we'll trade with it. Basing the value of the currency on silver is the same thing. It's no different than putting a serial number on a dollar bill. Basically, letting you know it was real. In the event of an actual social breakdown, Phil knows what's going to happen. What are you going to buy a cheeseburger with? You want to buy two number ones for you and your girl, and you go to McDonald's. What's the currency they're going to take?
I can't say on YouTube.
What?
Yeah, you can. I'll say it. It's bullets.
Yeah. But listen. Currently, you can still buy body armor. Night vision is king. Get guns and ammo.
Night vision, people need to know this. There's two things that make the Americans so dangerous. Air superiority is number one, and I could be wrong, but night vision is a major.
Own the night.
Yep. I think night vision might be number two.
The thing people don't realize that if you want to, you can get night vision and you can equip stuff so that way you have infrared lights on your gear and you can see everything, and it is black as night for anyone that doesn't have night vision. Like absolutely no lights, that no one can see any light on you, and you are looking around like it's daytime.
It's crazy.
It is.
I got and real night vision, not the stuff you get on like Amazon where it's like a camera that just to be fair, these low grade bargain bin $100 infrared cameras can help you see at night. So hey, no beef.
Better than nothing.
Legit military tech night vision.
Well, where would you get something like that?
You can get them from tnvc.com. And if you want to get the good military ones, they're PVS 31s. They're dual tubes.
You can see satellites.
Yep.
No way.
You look in the sky and you see satellites, and it's just like, wow.
What does that go for?
$13,000 was the one that I got.
Fairly cost prohibitive for the average person. Maybe once some other people get their fifth gold record, they can
7 gold bars.
You can get a PVS 31, which is a single tube. So mine are dual tubes, but you can get a single tube for somewhere around $3,000. So it's like, it's expensive, but it's something that the average person can afford.
And just one eye.
Yeah, one eye, and that is still way better than nothing.
Hunting,
it's great.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And again, and I'll say it again, body armor, you can still buy body armor. There are politicians that are looking to make these things illegal.
Yeah, that's true.
If you can get it, if you can get this stuff, if you can afford it, it's not a bad idea to get it now.
Do you have do you know what FRAS is?
No.
It's I forgot what company is Safe Life or something. Flexible rifle armor system.
Oh, okay.
So it's hexagonal ceramic plates, whereas your typical ceramic plate can withstand only about 1 or 2 rounds. Typically one. This is what they train us on. They say 1 round and if you get hit, your armor's no good. The ceramic stuff, because they're all separate plates, they actually can withstand a bit more. Still, you don't want to get shot, so we recommend against avoiding those things.
There's a company called Hesco that I saw some stuff that has come back from Ukraine recently. They were advertising, and they were taking full 7.62 by 31 or 7.62 by 51, which is 308 rounds, NATO, big bullets, very fast, and they're they're defeating.
Armor is getting impressive.
Armor is impressive.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And again, it is available now, and there are politicians that want to make that stuff illegal. So
I'm wondering the extent to which people think the collapse is happening, right? So obviously we talk about civil war, but civil war, we talk about this wide perspective, which could be, it's a cultural battle where people are being arrested and imprisoned, so there is physical violence, but it's not like armies marching. But maybe the high-end extreme version of that is it does get to like a total social breakdown. I don't know which way it goes. I'm wondering what the average person thinks, because these people who are buying up this gold like crazy ain't listening to this show. Some of them are, for sure, but we're talking about Costco selling out gold bars.
Yep.
That's way bigger than anything we can do or influence.
Yeah.
Yep.
So regular people are looking at something and being like, I got to buy gold.
yeah.
That's kind of worrying to me.
Yep.
Confidence breaking down in the system. I bet it's the flash mobs. Trump getting arrested.
There's also like a ton of gold advertising on alternative media, like Real America's Voice.
Recently, yeah.
I feel like
There's
that's always
like-
been a thing, though.
But listen,
A lot of gold
look.
companies.
Look at some of this, like this lady
just
right
saying,
here
like,
on
there's
TikTok.
awareness.
Yo, I don't think this lady, and I'm not trying to be discriminatory here based on what she looks like or anything like that, but I would be willing to bet it is not that likely that she's listening to InfoWars, Timcast, Steven Crowder, or whoever else has got gold commercials, Ben Shapiro.
I
right?
have a really good friend who I've had since college, who is very lefty, very liberal. She's open-minded, though. I mean, she's not like one of these people who's just like, I can't talk to you. She's buying up gold like nuts. She has been for a couple of years.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You know who else is
And
buying
she
gold?
she has like a good job and money and
You know who
land.
else is buying lots of gold?
She's also started
China.
Yeah.
really.
China's opened a whole bunch of these We Buy Golds throughout the United States.
She's also started planting her own food. She's like getting kind of freaked out. And she's a total normie. I mean, she's not exactly totally normie because she's my friend. She's kind of weirdo, but like compared to me, she's sort of normal.
Another thing is people don't realize that like outside of the United States, if you go to Saudi Arabia, if you're in the Middle East, there are vending machines that you can buy gold bars in.
Wow.
Yep.
You know, like
vending machines.
They'll be like whether they're like tiny, tenth of an ounce or whatever.
Like ATM, but.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I assume weird. I don't know what they're like. I've got friends that
look like, yeah.
I've got friends that have gone over and told me they're like, and my friend has bought actual gold from the vending machines. It is normal to consider gold a store of value outside of the U.S. America, we're so used to just looking at dollars.
Trust the dollar.
Exactly, but other countries and other societies where the value of currency sometimes fluctuates or has gone crazy and stuff. And also in the Middle East, they've always been very interested in tangible assets and stuff like that, if I understand correctly. So it's not strange to be like, yo, I'm going to get gold. And another thing, people think when I buy gold, it's like, I'm going to buy gold. And then I'm like, oh, I'm out of the money. It's when you buy gold, you're not out of the money.
Yeah, you just have gold now.
It's like putting it into a really safe bank.
What about diamonds? Did diamonds have any value?
Personally,
No,
I don't like jewels.
I don't think diamonds have any value, right? Like,
They're
haven't
really
people
common.
stopped buying diamonds? Because
They're manufactured now.
yeah,
You
so
just
it's like
create them in
there's just
labs.
no.
I mean, I'm not telling anyone what they should or should not buy.
No, I'm
Personally,
just
I
curious.
avoid.
Like
This is
avoid
things that
jewels.
have been valuable over the years.
This is the thing that I didn't learn. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, you are outside of this system. When you are making more money than you need per paycheck, all of a sudden the money you spend never leaves. So like you start making more money and you start building up a savings. Now you've got a savings sitting in your bank account. Money doesn't leave. Let's say you decide to buy something, so you buy a car. Car has value now. You still retain the value of your assets, whereas for most people, they're renting. they have a lease on a car or something like that if they do have one, or they're not, they're using Uber. All their money is being sucked away from them. They can't build wealth.
And that's of course the objective. Yes, that you own nothing and you will be happy.
Yep.
But also the CBDC, where it's programmable and they can just turn it off, or they can say if you don't spend it in 30 days, it disappears.
Yep.
So that's the objective.
creepy.
And if you get a CBDC, don't think you're going to be allowed to buy gold. Like if you once they have
Or body
the
armor.
EBT
Or
card.
night vision
Exactly.
Like
goggles.
the EBT card, you can't buy beer with it.
exactly,
Or whatever.
they will be able to
You
program.
can't buy hot food.
What? You
You
can't
can't-
buy hot food, at the store.
Yeah, it can't be prepared.
Yeah, so you won't be able to buy anything that has actual value. They will not allow you to take your CBDC.
They won't let you build wealth.
Exactly. And that is going to be built into the system. Like it's not going to be an option. Nowadays, as long as there's cash, you can still go and buy, whether even if it's just, even if it's silver coins, dimes and quarters and half dollars from pre-1964. That's where the silver, that's when they stopped using silver in coins in the US. Those are still available. You can get them with dollars. As soon as there's a CBDC, all that's done. That's off the table. And just like you said, you're not going to be able to buy armor. You're not going to be able to buy ammo. You're not going to be able to buy guns if they don't want you to buy guns. Maybe you'll be able to buy certain guns. They'll have certain guns that have probably some kind of micro stamping or something like that. But it's all of the direction that we're heading in is all about control. It's all top-down control. And I know there are people that are watching this that are like, yeah, we know, we're on the same page. We've been listening to this forever and ever. But the average person starting to buy gold means that people that are not plugged into this type of world, they're not, they're starting to smell the bad smell of top-down control. And it's something that people need to pay attention to.
And going to that point, and then also what you were saying at the beginning of the broadcast about people need to get away from these hot zones, these danger zones. I'm seeing that, and what you were saying about your friend, I'm seeing the normies start to wake up. I'm seeing them, people that I know who I never would have thought would be tapped into this sense of urgency that a lot of us have had for many years, and that's why we do what we do. That's why you're here in this part of the country with your studio and not in where you were before. That's why you've moved around, I've moved around. This sense of urgency, saying, right now we still have that ability to relocate, to find that place that we feel like is best for us, to ride out the storm, so to speak. And I'm seeing the normies are starting to pick up on that too. People that I know.
Does that mean that it's too late?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's too late at all. I think there's still time.
There's still time to save the republic.
Oh, I mean, there's still time.
Oh no, the Republic's
Okay.
dead.
Yeah, no,
but
that's
you can
not what I
get
was
chickens.
saying.
I
It's not too late.
yeah.
Yeah. You can
No,
still
the
get
Republic.
chickens and-
I think the Republic will be.
What I really want is a cow.
We'll win. I think we'll win.
Or maybe like a sheep.
Get all of them, man.
I can't get all of them.
So one of the roosters escaped the other day, and so when I ride my bike up to the studio and I'm coming in the morning, I see this dumb little mother running around the yard by himself, and I'm like, he'll be fine. He's a rooster, whatever. I go in, and then I'm in the studio, and then I record my first segment. I go over to the window and I look, and there's moron walking around the yard, and I'm like, so I went down and I walked over and I opened the little gate because there's an outside portion inside, and he ran inside, and then he went and do his chicken business. But these things I love chickens. They're hilarious.
Keep them away from
they are
Cenk
pretty
Uygur.
ridiculous.
Oh, no.
Wow. That
Too
was
soon,
a
too
visual
soon. Actually,
that
no, it's
I
been
did
10 years,
not-
so.
I didn't need that visual though. Wow.
Let's. I want to talk about the story from Lex Fridman. Check it out. He says, "Here's my conversation with Mark Zuckerberg. Third time on his podcast, but this time we talked in the Metaverse. Phil brought this up to me early on. These images right here you're seeing, this is CGI. Take a look at this. Mark Zuckerberg put on his Metaverse headset and headphones. It then mapped his face with the cameras all around it, creating a CGI real-time animation of him as he's talking with Lex Fridman.
That is wild.
Yo, this is getting creepy. And, I can only beg
Acceptance of the
Mark
technology.
Zuckerberg, no. No.
It's real easy to
Look at
dunk on the
this.
metaverse when it looks like a Wii game, but now it's like, yo, wait a minute,
These images you're seeing right now that we're playing on the screen, this is CGI.
Right.
Now, Lex looks real. Mark looks a little plastic, but to be fair, Mark
he always
always
kind of looks like
right.
that.
I know.
It looks just like
which
Mark's.
means it
I
looks
mean, he
very
looks-
real.
yeah.
good, right?
Yeah.
But Lex blinking and sitting right there, like
Even his
Wow.
skin tone, like the differences in his the tone across his face.
Look at this. Paisanos
What?
on
That's
Twitter
the thing.
said,
We
no
all have
offense, but
that.
your avatar appears more human and lifelike than your real form.
Apparently, I crashed the NVC's site.
Man, dude. Mr. Beast commenting on this stuff. Yo, it's going to be crazy. But here's what you need to fear with something like this and why we shouldn't build it. We shouldn't build it, but it doesn't matter. It will be built. If it's not Zuckerberg, someone will build it. It's because the more we create digital spaces that can simulate reality, the closer you get to living in the pod and eating the bugs. Because what's going to happen is it's not going to be a government mandate. Joe Biden's not going to go, listen here, Jack, we'll put you in the pod. You're going to eat the bugs. And they're going to go, no. And that'll never happen. What's going to happen is he's going to say, listen, for the people who can't afford the rent prices, we have pod, personalized occupancy device. And when you go inside of it, you strap on your Mark Zuckerberg headset and instantly you're in a 10,000 square foot mansion where you can walk around and all your friends are there and it's no different than reality. Now, why? And then what happens? Once it won't just be that. In fact, it might actually even be luxury at first. Only the rich people can afford the super nice metaverse things. Then it will become programs for cheap metaverse access. You're going to have commercials where it's like, are you YouTube ads? I don't know. We're not in the era of commercials, but it's going to be like, stop spending $3,000 a month on rent. Don't be a dumbass. Get Metaverse. Then it's going to show like this dude put on the goggles. It's not really going to be that corny or whatever.
But he's going to be in a closet. It's going to be like Ready Player One meets E.M.
Worse than
Forster's
that.
The Machine Stops.
Ready Player One, the kid lived in a trailer.
Right.
Trailers stacked on top of each other. At least he had a trailer. Nah. In this, your home is going to be a bathroom. Yep. Your apartment will be a toilet shower combo where you will go inside, you will strap into the metaverse and lean back on like a flat chair, and then or like I don't know what you'd call it. It's not a chair, but something to lean against. You'll put the headset on, grab your controllers, and then this is the start. And it only so like Phil was saying, when it's we characters, it's silly and stupid. Everyone makes fun of it. This is getting scary. Because now people are going to be like, you can actually have meetings and do podcasts and interviews, and we're already there.
You know, about 15 years ago, somebody showed me Second Life.
Yeah, I remember
and they
that.
were explaining to me that.
And they were super into it, right?
Yes, and people they made real money in the real world selling products or concert tickets or whatever
Or real
in
estate.
Second Life. And that was 15 years ago when it was really cheesy and like even the computers were cheesy at that time. But I'm picturing, we saw, I call them the pajama Americans, and we saw during COVID the amount of people since then and during that just lost all respect for themselves, who just go out to the shops now wearing their pajamas and Crocs.
Oh, yeah.
I hate that.
It's disgusting. And
It's like
it's
Fetterman.
yeah,
And they reinstituted the dress code
right. And so, I mean, how
because it
far?
was just too disgusting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're subjected to this every time we go to the grocery store now. But how far are we from the pajama Americans being totally fine to just strap into the metaverse and spend their Fed bucks in the metaverse
Fed
getting
bucks.
their Nike, Jordans and all
Zucker
that.
bucks.
I mean, we're
Totally renting fake clothing to wear it to the party
Well,
in
the
the
thing
metaverse.
is-
But this
People
is why
already
they
do.
want to do it. They want to do it because look at NFTs. There is a big push for. Let me slow down. Greta Thunberg says, the idea of infinite economic growth is insane. No, their plan is digital products that can be infinitely mass produced, have fake value based on artificial scarcity, and then no one manufactures anything.
and they're already there because you can buy like
World of Warcraft, bro.
Exactly. You buy, and I mean, in Destiny 2, you can buy different shaders and for colors for your outfits. You can buy different armor.
Yes, but with World of Warcraft going back to 2006, you could buy someone else's boots.
Yep.
So not if it was soulbound though, right? Soulbound was when you got an item and it couldn't be traded. But you would defeat a monster, it would drop an uncommon set of gloves, the forest gloves of agility or something. And then you'd go to someone and be like, do you want it? And they'd be like, yes. And be like, I want $10. And then you'd trade it to them and then you'd get $10. People were trading gold in game. So digital items have already had a marketplace and they want to capitalize off this. It's crazy to me. If you think about mobile games,
There were farms in China where people would just play World of Warcraft and kill rabbits for gold like all day long.
right? And then the funny thing happened when World of Warcraft made it so you could buy gold in game, and it was for like you could buy. What was it? How does it work? You can buy a token worth 1 month of gameplay, and then trade the token for 26,000 gold or something. Destroyed the economy.
Really? Why?
All of a sudden, so in World of Warcraft, I love there needs to be a research study on the economics of MMOs. But in the beginning of the game, you first start, you're super weak, you walk outside, and there's like a level 5 bandit or something, and you fight him, and then you take his like linen cloth from his shirt. You sell it for a few pieces of copper. The value early on is low. Once you get to higher and higher levels, the bad guys drop more money.
Right.
You defeat the bandit, now he's got gold instead of silver, instead of copper. As soon as you could buy gold, people start the game and immediately just buy a ton of gold. They're like, I'm not starting the game with no money. Then what happens is the lowest quality items that no one really needs. Well, look, if all of the new players have access to massive amounts of currency that used to be too hard to get, it used to be like, 50 silver for a stack of linen cloth. Now it's 10 gold. Why? Because new players have the gold. So supply and demand. Someone's got it and they say, I'll sell it. And someone says, I'll give you a gold for it. No, I'll give you 2. I'll give you 3. I'll give you 4. I'll give you 5. The prices skyrocket and you end up watching inflation due to the mass printing of money. Yeah. It's fascinating how you could teach a 12-year-old inflation by having them play World of Warcraft.
That makes sense.
Thanks, Joe Biden.
Thanks, Joe.
But anyway, yeah, the AI apocalypse is upon us. I hope you guys enjoyed it while it lasted. You're going to live in the pod, and it's not that you're going to eat the bugs. It's that when you do eat the bugs, it's going to taste like cheesecake.
Yeah, you never know.
You're gonna put on your Metaverse headset.
Oh, and
you're gonna attach your wireless mag Neuralink to the base of your neck, and then when someone hands you a bowl of boiled mashed cockroaches, you're gonna be looking at a delicious brown sugar oatmeal with cream on top.
And they'll say that that's good because if you're lactose intolerant, you won't have any problems.
And yes, that's right.
And when you're in the temperature controlled pod, you won't have to worry about the scary climate change going on outside the front door.
This stuff is all predicted in our
oceans.
fiction for, like over a century. E.M. Forster's The Machine Stops is really about this. Everybody lives in a pod underground because the world has become uninhabitable. And there's a machine that pairs everybody up for mating and for discussions. There's a big view screen and the machine gives you everything that you need and you never have to leave your pod. And this one woman ends up having to leave her pod to go see her son. And she's like, why do I even have to come see you? I see you on the telescreen. I mated with your father once when the machine told me to or whatever. But it's very simple. Like we keep predicting these things and we keep doing exactly the thing that is going to destroy us for the predictions.
I just saw something, I'm gonna hit up Lex. Where can I get these headsets? Because we spend a lot of money on travel costs, so we can do in-person conversations with people, flying them out, getting them hotels. If we can just ship them the headset, it'll be way cheaper than flying the whole person. Yeah. So it's like here's your
it'll be bad for the brand.
Yeah, but no one will know the difference. They'll think they're sitting in the room, right?
Fair enough.
I mean, to be fair, this is all CGI AI generated anyway. There's no actual Tim Pool. Phil's not real either. The guests are made up on the spot. Libby's the only real person.
No, I'm totally fake. I was constructed in a lab. That's why I get everything wrong.
Yes. But we're really close. I don't think people realize how close we are to full AI podcasts, where the host is going to be fake. None of the people are going to be real. Yeah, dude, it's Mid-Journey's already crazy, and we played that Capital of Conformity video. That video is so amazing. The AI, I don't know. Did you see it? I tweeted it out, where it's like what the future will look like, and it's this AI generated video. For the most, it's AI generated, but a human put the pieces together, and we're getting really close to the point, maybe within a year, where when you're looking at this Mark Zuckerberg stuff. Do you even if the computer can map his mouth in real time to what he's saying, do they even need actual Mark? They don't.
No, they just cull from what he's previously said.
As soon as they have the picture of his face, you can program what he's saying, and it will just make it look like he's talking. So you could actually be like, you wake up, it's like 9, and you're like, oh, I'm late, man. I got a meeting in the morning. And you're like, computer, put in my avatar and have it go to work for me. And then everyone thinks they're talking to you, but it's just the AI simulating you saying what it thinks you're going to say, and then you're sitting at home playing video games.
But there is no everyone. It's just everybody does that. It's everybody's AI.
Right. It's just
and
an
then
AI.
You just
it's one
go,
AI.
like, probably, play games or whatever other degenerate things people do on the internet.
What do we think, like, just along these lines, like, what do we think about, like, major events, like sporting events, where during COVID we were conditioned to watch these events with no audience? or
Yep.
the NBA played in like a hermetically sealed dome for a while, if I recall.
was
So
weird.
creepy.
Like, how will they just start having events and then just AI the whole like crowd and just
Oh yeah,
just make
it's
it
like Black
all-
Mirror, man.
Yeah.
They'll just AI the players.
In Black Mirror, everybody's in that room, tiny rooms where it's a TV screen all around them, and then it turns into the show set, and they feel like they're there. But then the set was little me characters clapping. It's gonna
you
be
remember
like
the,
it's gonna be like this.
Do you remember the Twilight Zone where everybody dies except for the guy who was in the basement, and he comes out and he was like in the vault. So this banker was he never wants to have to go to work. So on his lunch break, he just goes down to the vault of the bank. He closes the door over a little bit and he just sits there and reads where no one will bother him. And one day there's like a nuclear blast and everyone dies. And he comes out of the vault and he's just like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. I'm just going to read forever.
And then his glasses
And
fall
then
off.
he breaks his glasses. Yeah, he's like,
but
"Damn it,
you know-
I can't
you know,
do
I
it."
It was finally time.
Right,
it
but I
was
feel
time
like
now.
that there'll be like just one person who isn't fake, and they'll finally just realize like that they're the only person left in the world, and everything is fake. This would be a good story, and
I
then
never-
you know
they'd
what I
have to
was-
make that decision.
What-
Do I go into the AI metaverse and pretend I'm fake too, or
Right.
do I ignore it?
I'd like to add on to my propaganda short films idea where we paint the bad guys in a more positive propagandistic light, and just also make a series where we solve really stupid problems that shows thought were profound. Like when the guy breaks his glasses, he doesn't say, no, it was time now. He breaks his glasses and goes, oh, I broke my glasses. Puts them back on because he can still see, just not well. Goes to a glasses store where they
Exactly.
already have thousands of pairs
Thousands of
sitting there
different kinds.
and puts on a new pair of glasses.
I always wondered that too. Instead, he's just like, no.
Or like, did all glasses on everyone else's face get vaporized?
Right. Well, you don't see any dead bodies. You know,
Yeah.
that's always the thing, is because it's the Twilight Zone, so they probably had a small budget. So you don't see a lot of other people. Just laying
Maybe
around
for
in the
people
street.
who don't have glasses, they don't know this, but like if your glasses break, you can still see. It's just they're broken.
Plus, I have like 4 pairs of glasses. I always have extra,
That'd be funny if it's like, no, my glasses broke. Good thing I got a second pair.
right?
There we go. Where was I?
Or just you have them at home. Like you could get back home. No one's in those cars.
We can do a modern. I think
Grab one.
Futurama did it where the guy's eyeballs popped out, and then it's like, well, it's a good thing I can read Braille, and then his hands fall off.
I saw there was a I think it was Family Guy that was making a joke. It was I think it was a brain. Peter only had one brain cell left, and the brain cell was like, finally I can read, and then that was how I'm familiar with it.
That's really
That's
good.
good. Well, are you gonna, Dan? Are you gonna get the Neuralink?
I'm going to go with no.
I
I'm going to
think.
choose to live in reality,
I think.
firmly rooted.
I think it's an inevitability. Yeah, I think it doesn't matter what we say right now. It's going to be 100 years or whatever, and the kids are going to be fully plugged in, and they're going to be watching archives in school, and they're going to be like, here's an example of a 21st century podcast. And it's you being like, I'm not going to get the Neuralink. And they were like, Dan was 70 years old when he died. He had the Neuralink by 56. You know, it's like,
Right. Well, the thing is, I mean, if the technology exists, it will be used. That's just something that is a truism throughout human history.
you're not going to be able to compete. So it's like I was saying.
The genetic engineering too.
Well,
like,
you're not going to be able to compete in terms of the workplace and running your business. Imagine if you're a restaurant that doesn't have a phone. Well, come on. Like, you got to have a phone, right? Yeah, but most of human history, businesses did not have phones. People had to show up and talk to you. Then phones came about. If you're a pizza place across the street from a pizza place and you have no phone and they have phone, guess who's getting the deliveries?
Right.
Not you. Now, when people start integrating metaverse connections, it's like the internet. When the internet came about, if you were online, you had an advantage because it was easier to do business with you. Pizza Hut launched their rudimentary little website for ordering pizzas. It was hilarious. And then eventually, everybody's online.
I
there's
remember
gonna
when
be-
oh, go ahead. I'm
I was
sorry.
going to say businesses are going to start using the metaverse in a similar way. And let's imagine that someone works in a metaverse environment. So it's easier for them to just, while they're already plugged in, order pizza. If you're a business that doesn't offer it, guess what? They're going to order from the place that does.
Right. Yeah, that's like if you're not on like in New York, I always would order stuff from Seamless, and it got to the point where if it wasn't on Seamless, I wasn't going to order it
There you go.
because I already had that all hooked up. It was just like
Well, we
buttons,
use a couple of these apps.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of restaurants, but if it's not on the app, we don't order.
right. Because like,
That's it.
why would you do that? Why would you actually go to the trouble of calling someone and then they're like, "Hello, what? What did you say? What's your number?" Dude, just like,
Kiosks at fast
Yeah.
food restaurants.
Yeah, I hate
it's just so
those
much.
too.
It's just so much easier.
yeah.
You walk in, you go, "Toot, toot, toot, toot." And what bugs me is like,
I
you know,
finally
I went,
do the self checkout at the stupid not the grocery store. If I don't have a lot of stuff, I will do the self-checkout like at Walmart or whatever, but I hate it.
Dude, it's always broken.
I hate it.
The Walmart out here, it's always broken. And it's just like you put everything, they have the conveyor belt self-checkout, and then you scan it. It's like, please put the item in the baggage area. And you're like, it's a can of, it's a 12 pack of club soda.
Yep.
What am I going to put it in?
I can't put it in the baggage area.
And it's like, and then you have to wait for it to say, I do not want to bag this item. And you're like, and then it goes, please put the item in the bagging area. An item has been removed. And I'm like, no.
Or the one that I love is one that just says, help is on the way. And you're like, but why? What did I screw up? Why are you helping me?
Out. Can't do anything.
Yeah, why is this happening?
Yeah, we look at like when we're supposed to like our lives are supposed to get better with these convenient technological advances, and then they just don't work. And
Right.
and they're gonna hook us all into machines like Neuralink. Neuralink
And
isn't
they're
gonna
going to
work.
turn and they're going to like just have all police be robots and they're going to be armed. And you're just like, it's going to be like in The Fifth Element, you know?
I think a combination of what the Amazon store did and self-checkout is probably where we should go, where basically when you walk in, like what they're trying, actually, I'll just put it this way. The problem is the self-checkout is not, the system of checking out groceries is not built for an automated system.
No.
They can very easily have a system where you load all your groceries onto a conveyor belt. It moves just across a sensor that checks weight and the image of like a camera, and it knows exactly what you've got.
Yep.
If Amazon can already know what you got based on you picking the item up, you don't need me going boop, boop, like that's a waste of time.
Yeah.
You just put on the conveyor belt, it all runs across. You put it in your you put it in, swipe your card, you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a little off topic, but Ted Cruz was just shared a Timcast.com article.
Nice.
Oh, look at that.
That's
That's
cool.
Ted
awesome.
Cruz. We should have him on the show.
He should
Lion
come on the
Ted.
show.
Lion.
Roar lion, not lion. I said lion.
Lion.
Good one.
Yeah,
Another
what if-
foreign-born presidential candidate that had dubious, some people.
He's Canadian.
His dad's a Zodiac killer.
I don't think he's. Didn't he renounce Canadian citizenship or something?
I don't know. I don't think he's actually Canadian. I think that.
I think he is. He was born in
I
Canada.
think
wasn't
I
he?
think one of his parents was Canadian, but I think that because he was running for president.
But he's American, but has I think he's dual citizen.
That could be okay. That could be
Canadians.
Isn't that also Kamala Harris? Isn't she also part Canadian?
Jamaican?
Wasn't she like in Quebec for a while?
No, you
I
don't
thought-
know about that. She's Jamaican.
I wish.
Jamaican Indian is what I remember.
I'm pretty sure she spent time in Montreal. I might have that wrong.
She definitely spent a decent part of her childhood growing up in Canada.
Yeah, I thought that she was in Quebec.
Mhm.
Yeah, when I remember, like, speaking of technology that will be used, when I left school, I left college for a year, and then I went back, and I moved into an apartment that didn't have a phone. I never got a phone hooked up, and there was a payphone downstairs, and I could hear it ring from the window. So, I'd tell people, like, ring twice, then hang up and call back. And if I'm home, maybe I'll run down and pick up the phone, not likely. But when I went back to school, there was email and there hadn't been email before. And my friend, the same one who's now buying gold, was like, you have to like log into your email. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And she was like, dude, you have to log into your email. And I finally did. And there were assignments and like I had to there were things that were changing the time of the class and all this stuff and like invitations to whatever. And I was like, this is ludicrous. Why am I like, just give me a flyer, But no.
All right, we're going to go to
Good old
Super
days.
Chats.
Yeah, good old days.
If you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this YouTube channel, share the show with your friends, and become a member by going to timcast.com, click join us. We're going to have a members only uncensored show. We're going to be talking about this viral video, actually two of them, where there was a trans student who mercilessly attacked some other female students, and it's causing a big uproar. But it's a little spicy, probably not for the kids. So we'll keep this we'll keep this show family friendly. But the uncensored show will be up at about 10 p.m. Don't miss it. And let's read your super chats. We got Mr. Battlon. He says, "What shoes do chickens wear? Buck. Haha. And you paid me for that joke? Yeah. Wow, thank you." Clint Torres. Howdy, people. Howdy, Clint.
Hey, Clint.
You are second super chatter this time around. Bears fan in Cheeseland says $2 closer to our alternative economy. Yeah, man, guys, download Public Square, and winning the culture war can be as simple as using the Public Square app to find businesses that share your values and buying products from them. They have a map where you can see all the businesses around you, and it's growing every day. It's awesome. In our area, we can see all the restaurants that we'd rather go to. I love it.
You told me about that the other day, and I started looking at the near me, and I was very pleasantly pleased by it.
And you go into the business and you can say, hey, I found you guys on Public Square. And they're going to be like, yes, we love it. It's so amazing. High five.
Nice.
And then you know that like you're talking to someone cool.
That's chill. I like that.
It's amazing when we first found out about it that so many businesses knew about it before we did. Yeah. And I'm like, we've got our ears to the ground on all this stuff. And then so many businesses were already using it when we first started talking with the team over Public Square.
Right. I need to speak to them eventually because my phone won't let me use it. It just says looking for Public Square and the app won't work for my device. So
is your phone American?
Yes.
Is it 20 years old?
Maybe. I don't know.
It looks old.
It is an S9 Plus, so it's old.
Whoa!
I know, right?
Yeah, that might be the issue.
Yeah, but trying to avoid getting a new phone if I can.
All right. Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says, guys, I remember a time when boys don't hit girls. Today, though, if you're a boy but pretend you're a girl, you can most certainly hit girls. Well, we got a lot to talk about with that story, but they'll be up in the members only. Stephen Say says, I had to take out a loan from the credit union so I could super chat, and Tim won't read them. Well, I just read it right now. You took out a $10 loan? I guess if your credit card, that's a loan. Shane Wilder says, with Cenk running for president, I would like to announce that I too will be running on the Democratic ticket. No, I'm not a Democrat, but I am running on a platform of memes and abolishing the Fed. Well, I don't know what Cenk's point was because he's not a natural-born U.S. citizen, so I guess that's not happening.
I don't know why I think
that is a rule I like, though, that you have to be a natural-born U.S. citizen to run for president. I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even, and I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Waffle Sensei says, if Republicans were smart, they would be wargaming, investing, and preparing for a campaign against Newsom. Everything is set up to fight Biden, and they may just drop Joe for Gavin early to mid-2024. If I were the machine, that would be my plan. Yeah, what's going to happen? Is he going to be given super soldier serum that de-ages him, and then all of a sudden Hunter Biden's going to come out with a stack of evidence proving that it was actually Trump who did all the things they accused him of? Yeah. And then it's just like, it's going to be irrefutable evidence, so irrefutable that even Trump supporters believe it.
Did you watch any of the impeachment inquiry today?
Very little bit.
Same.
But I did go through the evidence published by the House, and there's too much. There's a lot. I did a video, and I'm like scrolling through, and I'm like, guys, I'm skipping the China stuff, the Romania stuff. I'm only talking about the Ukraine stuff. And then after like 15 minutes, I'm like, okay, you get the point. It's insane how much evidence there is.
There's a lot of evidence that he took money from Ukraine to affect foreign policy.
Yeah. No, it really is crazy that they have this graphic they've built where you scroll down and there's like arrows and there's pictures and there's news stories and there's links. There's bank records. And I'm just like, this is too much for me. Well, and then the media goes, there's no evidence.
And then Raskin says there's no evidence. And it's like, if you look at it and you're like, this is what evidence looks like.
There's a bank record showing the Biden family receiving money from a Chinese business. Like, what are they saying? They're just lying. These people are evil.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's total lies.
Obviously, Newsom is an obvious candidate, and it's like very viable. But have we totally shut the door on Michelle Obama? Like, is it?
That's the scariest thing that I can come up with, because I think that she would walk over any Republican, and not on any merits of her own. Just the American people would be like, Obama, love the name. Michelle, she's great. Let's do this. I don't think brains would be left at the door, and it would be all voting for, let's get Obama back. She's, Obama but female, so that's Obama but a little better. It would be the most emotionally driven, mindless brain checkout vote ever, and I think she would waltz over anyone, and it is the scariest scenario in my opinion.
She has no record.
I don't think that matters.
No. That's a positive.
Yeah.
There's nothing to attack her on.
Exactly. And anyone that does, you think of all of the reasons you could call someone all the bad names. Oh, you're attacking a woman. You're attacking a black woman. You're not going to vote for the.
Well, but that's why we have to win the culture wars, to get rid of all of that trash.
We won't get a chance if she runs.
Right.
It's just too soon.
Maybe.
I mean, that's why it's so scary, because
she was just paid $750,000 to give a talk for like an hour.
That indicates that indicates a run for president.
Yeah.
Doomed.
So here's how it works. If you want to run for president, nobody can give you. If you're running for president, you can't get paid more than like, what is it, $2,700 or something like that. So what happens is, whenever someone is preparing to run, they give these speeches where they get paid so much money. Hillary Clinton did it with Goldman Sachs. Now we're seeing Michelle Obama get the 750K. Everyone's talking about it. Why? It's indicative of a presidential run.
Interesting.
You get paid a massive stick of cash for something arbitrary like a consultation or a speech. Then when you announce, that's a
You
donation.
have the money. Yeah.
There is nothing that, just like you said, there is nothing you can attack her with, and any attacks that you make against her, it's all racist and sexist.
Transphobic. Oh my goodness.
Okay, I'm not trying to bring up that one.
Wait,
But
real quick. Is Michelle Obama in Predict It for the Democratic Party?
I don't think so. I don't
She's
remember
not?
seeing her. Yeah, no.
Wow. She's not even on the list.
she would waltz into the office like it was not like the doors were opened as soon as she announces
Yeah.
over. Because Donald Trump could never, not that I like, none of this is like something that I like, but every attack that Donald Trump could possibly muster, she would be able to deflect
Everything.
instantaneously.
True.
Every single person in the daytime TV stuff
they
would be
would love her.
they would
They
be
would love her.
right in her life.
They already love her.
It would be so over. Like it would be obviously I think it would be the worst thing that could happen to the country
Yeah,
because
it's
our
terrible.
policies would be more
Same.
progressive than Barack Obama. It would be the end of America, and she would walk in like it was nothing.
Yep.
And we'd
All
be
right.
looking at like a lot of people say Biden is Obama's third term. In that scenario, we're looking at 5 consecutive terms of Barack Obama. That is basically perpetual rule, and
Yeah.
it's over.
All right. The obscene unicorn says, every time Krispy Kreme called out Trump last night, I was expecting him to run out to the stage to the run out onto the stage to the D Generation X theme song with a steel folding chair like an episode of Monday Night Raw. Oh, okay. I see. Yeah. That's all he had, really. S.A. Federale says, I recently forgot that Whitney Webb even existed until I realized that Libby Emmons is a different, extremely intelligent journalist chick. Given that they're not the same person, have you ever thought of having them both on, possibly with Alex Jones? Well, sure, I guess, yeah.
I don't know
Why
who that
not?
is, but I'm going to go look it up.
2A Willie says, the migrants being put on the buses at the border under the current political climate must be put on the buses. The border states being inundated with mass migration cannot sustain their own communities at this rate. Right. That was one of the arguments. The reason they're putting people on buses and shipping them out is because they have nothing to do with them. What do they do?
Yeah,
They're
El
just-
Paso is destroyed, right? Isn't it like practically decimated at this point?
Yeah, I mean, even I would just spend time in Austin, and I used to go there to play South by Southwest every year, and it was a great city at that time, in my opinion. And over the years, I've watched the transformation of Austin, even. And the last time I was just there a couple months ago, it felt inundated with illegal aliens, and I think it's indisputable that it is. But Austin is not exactly on the border,
Right.
and that's what. When people are talking about Texas as a viable option for going somewhere secure, I say no. I say absolutely not. That place is under siege. You have millions of people who we have no idea who they are pouring into that state. We talk about the official numbers, and they're scary. We have no idea what the real numbers are.
Why isn't Greg Abbott just being like, no, we're not doing this and securing the border with the National Guard?
Well, even if he did,
Uh-huh.
which we're seeing kind of a limp-wristed effort
There's like
towards
a
that.
little bit.
But we're watching Customs and Border Protection agents and Border Patrol.
They're like opening doors and
Yes.
dropping ladders.
And they're counting. They're going like 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're good. Bring them all in.
Yeah,
Crazy.
they're cutting up the
Why are
razor
they,
wire.
Why are they doing that?
Because they're evil.
Like, we watch this happen and you're just like, are you an idiot too? Why are you doing that?
They're just following orders.
They're evil.
The people are, well, they must be possessed by some kind of evil.
People
to
people
do
really
that.
got to understand this. Like, Lahaina really is the good modern example. Did
Yeah,
the
that is
cops blocking the
insane.
road in Lahaina know they were murdering children? No. Did they murder children? Yes.
Yes, they did
Have a nice
murder
day.
children.
They people were jumping out of their
Whole
cars.
families. They murdered whole families.
Yep. And so when Michael Malice says there is no crime so egregious a police officer would not commit it, up to and including the execution of children, everyone assumes what he's saying is that a cop will be told, go kill that child. And go, yes, master. Like, no, he's not saying that. He's saying that when the only road out of town when there's a major wildfire destroying a town and families are fleeing, the police will get orders to stop people from driving out of town, and then they'll all burn to death while the cops watch. and they'll shrug.
And that is what happened. That's what they did.
A lot of people got out of their cars and jumped in the water. Some of those people went missing.
Some of those people drowned.
Yep, you're in a cloud of smoke. Smoke inhalation kills. Some of the people drowned. Some of the people just were having trouble breathing as it was. Some people were still getting burned because you're in the water, but you're still near these fires. And I think people need to understand movies and video games really ruin this for people when they see like lava. And then like the people will be jumping over the lava, or like
really
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Really great example.
Yeah.
When Vader and Obi-Wan are fighting over the lava on Mustafar, they would instantly burst into flames at that proximity. Yeah, people don't get it, man. So those cops did it.
Yeah.
And not only that, but then these officers or their contemporaries in other agencies then confiscated or blocked private aid coming in for the people who were still in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Like then they're just compounding effect.
Yep. And there was a
Just all
local,
motors.
the police arrested one of the residents, a guy who lived there. They said, you can't come back. It's his house. He went into his house. He probably had a safe, maybe had belongings he wanted to get. They said, no, they arrested him. And then the media reports it as looters and trespassers. As, instead of homeowner trying to get his stuff. Evil, man. That's the scary reality of, what Michael Mouse is talking about. Do we think like your average run-of-the-mill cop is evil? No, not in the sense where if like he's ordered to do something evil, he'll do it. They'll be ordered to do something they don't understand, and they'll carry out an action which is tremendously evil without realizing it.
Well, and the state is going to change the zoning there and end up buying up all that land and kicking everybody out.
Land grab.
It's a total land grab. They said it in like just very shortly after. The governor was like, "Oh, we'll help by buying up this land."
Yeah, I know.
And it's like, what?
Yeah.
If that were my land, I'd be like, "The hell you're buying up my land?
Yeah.
Get off me!" Like I feel like that's me in the government all the time. Just get off. Just get off me.
Joseph says, how much do you give to make the world better as an individual? All of you. The answer is no one on the whole gives an F about anyone they don't know. This country is run by main character syndrome, terror of death. While I certainly can respect the perspective that most people are doing that certainly does not apply to, I would assume, most people in this room. And it certainly does not apply to me. Because if you want to know how much I give to make the world better, I probably give like, I don't know, $10,000 or $20,000 a month to random people. I don't know. I gave I don't go around broadcasting it, so I'll keep it relatively vague. But I just gave a disabled veteran $6,500. I gave an activist group fighting against trans kids like $10,000. So yeah, I'm trying as hard as I can, man. Not to mention when y'all pitched in and we both together gave $50,000 to Tim Ballard for his new effort.
That was cool.
So and that's the super chatters, right? Half of it was theirs. And then, to be honest, the other half came from memberships to Timcast.com. So it's like all you guys. But yeah, so how much do I give as an individual? Bro, I'm giving as much as I can. I'm living comfortably. I'm doing well. But, I got to be honest, man. I don't understand how I look to some of these people who are in comparable positions to where Timcast is, and I don't see them doing half of the weird stuff that we've done. I'm not saying we're saints so that we're the best or anything. I'm just saying like, we like, so the Times Square campaign, we bought 36 ads in Times Square for several reasons. But there's a reason why Luke Rudkowski and Michael Malice were on those billboards. That's not to benefit Timcast. It's because we need to win a culture war. And so asserting ourselves in the cultural spaces to the best of our abilities, I wish we made $100 million a year. I just own Times Square and force ABC News, NASDAQ, all these people to look at our ads every single day so that we can take over. We do what we can, right? I exert as much as I can to do this stuff. I wish, and I say it all the time, there's so many wealthy, powerful people that could snap their fingers and set the cultural conversation, and they don't do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I do appreciate the super chat because I know, what you're saying is a generality about most people, and you're correct. Most people don't care. I will say though, when I talk to a lot of the guests that come on this show, always talk about how amazing the Timcast audience is, and it's something it's unlike anything they've ever seen. And I think what it is, the average person, I'll meet someone and they're a fan of one show or the other, and they'll shake my hand. I meet someone who watches Timcast and they've got all these ideas, and they're elaborating on things we've talked about, and they want to tell you all these ideas. Like, it's really fascinating to me. And I'm like, yeah, I think the people who watch Timcast are like paying attention a lot and deeply care and want to win and make changes. So I really do appreciate all of you guys. And Joseph, I do appreciate the comment because I think it is a big problem that most people don't care. That's why you see these videos where they go to Times Square and they ask people questions. They don't know anything. No. Because if it doesn't affect them, they don't care about it. And I will also add, we are afflicted by the inability to see beyond what the cultural standards are. And what I mean is, if it's not reported news and it's not prominent and being shared, then we don't know what happened, then we don't talk about it. And so you'll get people being like, why aren't you talking about this problem? And it's like, I don't know enough about it, right? So we only talk about what we know and the problems we try to solve. Let's grab some more super chats. Will Johnson says, what's going on with Katie Hobbs? Easy. She's traveling out of state and Arizona requires the governor be in state. That means if she travels out of state, there has to be an acting governor take over because there's no lieutenant governor. Then they're having the treasurer.
Yeah, that's right.
Treasurer is for a day.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's nothing. Nothing's happening.
It's really not a big deal.
Yeah.
There was a great example of actually something happening in Idaho during COVID when the governor there would go out of town, the lieutenant governor, I believe her name is Meacham. Every time he would leave town, she would basically freeze all of the COVID orders that he had issued, so masking and all that stuff. And then he would come back into town and put it back to the way it was. But that was an example of actually someone taking action, a very revolutionary action in the second highest, power in the state every time the governor would leave. So interesting things can happen when the governor goes away, but this one looks like a nothing burger, apparently.
Yeah. Well, in New York, Letitia James and Kathy Hochul pushed Cuomo out of office on trumped up sexual misconduct charges. And then all the charges got dropped because there was absolutely no evidence of anything at all. It was a coup. And now there's Kathy Hochul, and she is awful. And she's very destructive in the state.
A good example of, what they replace this terrible thing with often is even worse.
It's even worse. Yeah.
Careful what you wish for.
Yeah. It was like, a better version of Biden and a Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris is now in charge, basically. But yeah, Kathy Hochul is a disaster.
Yeah.
And it was totally a coup.
All right. Doss Wood says, all Cenk does is lie, so no surprise there. I love Malice, but when Cenk was on his show spewing progressive BS, even saying the horse thing was out of context, I watched it. It wasn't. Malice gave zero pushback. I was shocked. I don't... What could the context be on the horse thing? Could it be that Cenk says right before this video, hey, guys, I'm going to say something really, really crazy. It's going to be hilarious. All right, here we go. If I was a benevolent, is that because that's out of context? Or what if he said something like, I watched this funny comedy where there was this this guy who took over the country, and he says, if I was those things matter because that does happen. I've seen so much out of context clips where someone will be like, did you hear what Trump was saying? I am the greatest, blah 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 blah, and then they'll quote it and be like, this person said this, and it's literal truth, meaning you said it. You were quoting someone else, but you said it, therefore they can report it. So, whatever, man. If he wants to walk away from that, I absolutely will let Cenk Uygur walk away. If he says, no, that's not what I believe, I don't like that, I'll be like, okay, dude, okay. We'll just sweep that one away, and you just never go there again.
Yeah. Never say that again.
Right, yeah.
That was a weird one.
We'll let you continue. Just,
Has he? And I guess he hasn't said anything like that since, right?
No. And a lot of people criticize him for his statements on the Armenian genocide, which he did apologize for. It's just like, dude, come on, man. He needs to change the name of the program. All right. There's no reason not to do it. And they keep defending, the Young Turks committed the Armenian genocide. Yeah. Just change the name, man. And I don't mean Cenk Uygur's the Young Turks. They use the name because I guess he's Turkish, and the Young Turks is also synonymous with young upstarts.
Yeah,
but no.
It doesn't make it any better. It's like saying you're a young German company, so therefore we're going to call it the Hitler Youth. It makes zero sense. It's weird.
I went to Politicon, and there were Armenian protesters.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, with signs. And they were like, we like the Young Turks. Cenk is good. He's great. We please change your name. And he won't do it. And we're upset he's doing it. We're trying not to be mad about it. And I was like, the guy said, he's like, imagine they called themselves Hitler Youth. Come on.
It's such a
and
weird
I'm like,
name.
I agree with you. I don't know. Just change the name.
Yeah. It's as simple as that.
What you do is you stop calling it Young Turks, you start calling it TYT. And then eventually you call it, you change the Turks to something different.
Yeah.
And so it's like the young
turtles.
There you go. Hey, turtles. Everybody likes turtles.
Everyone likes turtles.
Yeah, turtles are great.
Yeah.
They sit there and they put their legs out to dry
The young
off.
T-Rexes.
Lady Antebellum did it. Lady
Right.
A now, right?
Right.
Yeah, but
Lady
it was
A.
funny because there's like this female black singer who was called Lady A, and so they stole her name and infringed on her market. And she's like, "Hey, wait, what are you doing?" So like in their effort to not be racist, they got accused of even more racism. Yeah, just bro, who cares if your group is called Lady Antebellum? They're like, well, it's a reference to Civil War. So what?
No one cares.
What does antebellum mean? Before the war?
Yeah.
Yeah, before antebellum.
Yeah. And then what's after? How do you say after?
It was the Reconstruction was after.
Well, there's
Yeah.
a word for
But post
anthem, postbellum. I don't remember now.
postbellum.
Postbellum.
Yeah.
Not sure. I have to look it up.
Yeah.
What do we got? We got a super chat. Steve-O says, last time I bothered you guys, I ordered a box of TP before COVID lockdown hit. This time I'm warning you all. Bullets, beans, and bandages. Training is a must, and physical fitness increases your chance of survival. Complacency is a killer.
100%.
Agreed. Yes. You know, if it all breaks down, bullets are going to be currency. And it's not because of this idea that we're fighting each other. Yo, hunting. Okay? You want to get food. You want to be able to hunt. Your ammunition is a key way to do it. But night vision, bro. Night vision, that deer is going to be staring you in the face. You're going to be 3 feet in front of it, reaching out with your big, muscular, survivalist hands after several years in the wilderness. And you're going to grab his antlers and just snap it, and he's never going to see it coming.
Wow.
Your wife's going to be standing behind you with night vision goggles, and she's going to be like, that was awesome.
Night vision's great if you're going to take up a position, though. Thermal is good too. But
Yeah.
thermal doesn't work for movement.
We've got
kill
like,
yourself.
we've probably got like 20 deer that live on the property.
The
look right
people in Northern Virginia around this area, they need to take up hunting because there are
It's too many.
a boatload. Like there are so many deer. It is dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always
Look at my
scared
truck,
driving
man.
at night around here.
They were starving last year because there were too many.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is the tree line is all perfectly cut. And we're like, when we first came here, we're like, how's the tree line perfectly cut? And it's like, because the deer,
The deer. Just
they keep it trim, you know? Yeah. Where are we at? Grab some super chats. What is it? North says it's smart to invest in lead rather than gold.
Fair.
Yes. I don't know how effective a golden bullet would be. Like pure gold. It would just flatten and probably shatter.
Yeah, it would probably flatten.
I mean, I guess that has its purpose. You know, like a lethal, but like somewhat less lethal. Softer. Actually, that might be more lethal. Yeah. I don't know. All right, we'll grab some more super chats. S.A. Federali says bullets aren't valuable as currency because they can't be measured for quality. One day you'll have a box of 9mm mostly full of sand. You're gonna fire every round. You get to test them. Yeah, but the same thing can be said for gold. You have no idea if they're giving you real gold or fake gold. You need to bite it and be like, oh, look, it worked. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, what you do is someone comes to you and says, I want to buy, that succulent pig roast that you have for my family. And you say, that's going to be one box of 9mm. And they say, I got you right here. And they're going to slam it on the table. Then you're going to open it up and you're going to pull out one at random and you're going to load it and you're going to test it. And you're going to say, okay, maybe the guy gave you half duds or he 1/10 duds and hoping you don't notice. But at the very least, a random test can confirm you're likely getting a good box of ammunition.
Did you see the thing in Dublin where it was like illegal immigrants were roasting a dog?
Whoa. I saw the rats in New York.
Well, people roasting rats?
Yeah.
Yep. Literally.
I don't know if that was a real video because it could just be a fake video someone made.
That would be wormy and really bad for you.
Yeah, but
Not if
the
they're
worms get cooked.
Yeah, but it's still.
I mean, it's not like pleasant, like as an idea.
Yeah, I mean,
Anyway,
People
that
need to get
seems super
people-
nasty. But they're roasting dogs on a spit in Dublin.
Ireland
my
has
my,
major
my,
with that.
my thing
massive
about the
immigration
bugs,
problems.
when people are like, I don't want to eat the bugs, I'm like, y'all need to start getting ready to eat the bugs. Not because we're going to lose the culture war, but because if an economic crisis hits, you need to get comfortable with eating some things you do not want to eat.
Yep.
Very
My
unpleasant.
so I was at my grandpa's house. This is 20 some odd years ago. Rest in peace. And I made a sandwich before we were leaving. And when I made a peanut butter and jelly, and then I looked, there was mold on the edge. And I was like, ah. And he's like, what's wrong? And I was like, the bread's mold. And he goes, so what? And I was like, well, I'm not going to eat it. And he walks over and he grabs it and he goes, takes a big bite. And he goes, you don't know what we ate in the Depression, or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like,
My
So you can't waste
my grandfather in the Depression, one of my grandfathers, he foraged for mushrooms
Oh yeah.
and sold them and he was like pretty young at the time. And after that period of life was over, he never ate a mushroom again in his life. Like that was it. That was it for him and
I'm
mushrooms.
not a fan of mushrooms. I don't blame him.
All right.
Fungi.
Not Bob Saget says, I ran a bot farm back in 2006 in World of Warcraft. I would have it running during the day while I was at school. I made thousands of dollars selling gold to other kids. The MMO gold market is $1 billion industry. Wow.
Wow, that's crazy.
Crazy, man. And then once we're in the metaverse and like that's all our lives.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah, no, it's not good. But you know what? You're probably already in it.
I'll be that last person, like in Fahrenheit.
No, you're probably already in it right now.
451. I'm in the metaverse right now.
It's a simulation.
Yeah, but saying it's a simulation and saying we were created by God are almost the same thing.
Right, exactly. And so, what you are in is basically God created this universe. You plugged your brain in and woke up here.
Well, maybe, but
I'm
still not doing it.
If the simulation theorists should probably already believe they're in by choice a matrix.
My son said that, like, when we first moved out this way, he was like, Mom, we are at the edge of the simulation.
That's funny.
You should have went like this. You should have went. You are correct. I don't think the camera could capture what I just did.
What are we going to do? What are we going to do out here? Because we kept going in places and like there would be either no staff at all or the staff would just look at us and then keep doing what they were doing and like never take our order.
They'd be like, we don't like you New Yorker taps around these
We
parts.
wouldn't even say anything. Like we went into some ice cream place and they just looked at us and kept helping the drive-through. And I was like, do we have to get in the drive-through to get ice cream?
Well, the CPU power this far out of the simulation is really low.
Yeah.
So the NPCs are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, so we did get in the drive-through, and then we got ice cream that way, and then we got out of the car and ate the ice cream. Like it was really weird.
All right, everybody, if you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, and right now head over to timcast.com, click join us, become a member to support our work. If you believe in what we do, if you want to see more cultural victories, as a member, you help us with building the coffee shop, setting up these live events, making music. We're working on setting up short films. We have a video game in the works. We're going to have to release the code because this one kind of, didn't go as far as we wanted to. Working on a card game, which will hopefully come out, and building a new studio. And we have a bunch of projects in the works. We want to create an anti-Times Square in Martinsburg, West Virginia, revitalize the area, and overall just win a culture war. So join timcast.com if you support us, and you'll get access to the Uncensored show, which is coming up in a few minutes. You can follow the show at Timcast IRL. You can follow me personally everywhere at Timcast. Dan, do you want to shout anything out?
Sure, yeah. You can find me on Twitter, Real Dan Lyman, and also Borderhawk at borderhawk.news and Borderhawk News on Twitter.
I am Phil Labonte, Phil That Remains on X, or Twix if you want to call it that. Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains. We're available on Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, YouTube, the internet.
I'm Libby Emmons. You can find me at Libby Emmons on Twitter. And at thepostmillennial.com and humanevents.com. You can see all of the great work that we're doing there. We have amazing op-eds up at Human Events today, if you want to check it out, from Libs of TikTok and Jack Posobiec. So head on over.
Pleasure to meet you, Dan. This is a fun episode. I am Serge.com on Twix, and I'm going to keep calling it Twix because it's a good one.
It's a good one.
Yeah, left and right Twix, Yeah. Anyways, let's get to that after show.
All right, everybody, we will see you all over at timcast.com in about a minute. Thanks for hanging out.